What is going on, everybody? It is episode 338 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I promise I'm going to be higher energy today than I was yesterday. I don't know what happened. Please forgive me.
I'm not. I'm going to be low energy today. Low energy, Brett. I'm just kidding.
To balance it out?
Yes. Yeah, we have to even it out.
Okay. And we've got a guest in the studio. Hello, Taylor.
Hi guys, I'm Taylor Silverman. I'm happy to be back. I'm gonna try to be high energy. I've been running around all day, but I just made it in time.
Yeah, literally just in time.
You don't have to be high energy or anything.
I'm gonna be mid-energy.
That's technically our job.
Yeah, you're just here to have fun.
Yes. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Harry Potter is going to be rebooted. Rebooted with 7 new seasons of a television show, each season based on one of the books from HBO Max. J.K. Rowling is involved. The cope is real. We are going to go through some of that cope here on Twitter, and we're going to laugh at the people who are going to have a very hard time accepting that this will be a real thing. We're also going to include in that discussion whether or not there was a need to already make a live-action Moana, considering Moana is like less than a decade old. I think it's from 2016. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that the cursed Rings of Power just couldn't get any damn person to finish watching the television show. Nobody seemed to want to finish it. There was a fire on set. A horse died. It does seem cursed. So we will talk about that. We're also going to talk about the American Idol contestant, Sarah Beth, that we talked about a few weeks ago, who was basically shamed by Katy Perry for daring to choose to be a mother at the age of 25 to 3 children. So we will discuss that. She has left the show. And also the trope of good for her and the good for her cinematic universe. How would you describe that, Mary?
It means that murder is okay when women do it in movies.
When women do it, it's fine when women do it. So we will talk about I think that's the word they use in it. That's actually the language that they use. Like Lady Gaga says, "I'm not pro murder. I'm pro women's empowerment." So we will get into that. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into in the start of the show. So if you're ready, Mary, we can just get right into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Taylor.
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to get right into it. First things first, Taylor, you will not have this on there because this is from the start of the show stuff. Disney live-action Little Mermaid does, in fact, land a China release. I don't know what I was expecting here. I figured they would, considering they just got Marvel movies back over there in China, and I think Bob Iger has a lot to do with that as well.
Are Chinese people going to watch this?
I do. Like, the number one thing is they've had diminishing returns for almost, you're going to have to deal with the stink bugs. They're out in force today already, so we're going to have to deal with the stink bugs here. What we've seen from Disney, especially with their live action movies with China releases, is the law of diminishing returns, meaning it seems like less and less money is made with each film. In 2016, Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book opened to $150 million in 2016, and by 2017, for Beauty and the Beast, that one only made $85 million. The Lion King made $120 million, so it went up. Aladdin made just $53 million. Maleficent went down to $48.8. Mulan just $40 million. And Cruella only made $24 million, but you could technically blame Mulan and Cruella, I suppose, on COVID. Theoretically, you could blame that on COVID. China's like, sorry, we're too busy locking you in your
Wasn't
home.
Cruella kind of thought of as the female Joker at the time?
Kind of, yeah.
Also, we have totally fell.
We have a $20 one right there from, but with no message.
Oh, who's that from? Dingo Icarus?
Yes, which is a good reminder, guys. Could you hit the like button? Could you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Usually I wait for this to do right before we start segment number 1. And if you do Super Chat anything $20 and over, we will, in fact, interrupt the discussion, read your Super Chat right then, and then try valiantly, do our best to get right back on topic. Yesterday, both me and Dane forgot whatever the hell we were talking. It was really funny. I was like, did you forget? Well, trying not to point out the fact that I too had forgotten whatever we were saying right before
just
that.
Blame it on Dane.
Yeah, we'll blame Dane. It was his fault yesterday. So we will interrupt those discussions for all Super Chats, $20 and over. So he says that's 20 euros, but you know.
I don't know the conversion rate.
Yeah, and the American dollar is not even being used over there in Brazil and between Brazil and China anymore. It's not even the reserve currency anymore. The dollar bill, it's just going down in value every day. Blame the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, I tried to super chat you guys when I was out of the country, and it said that I couldn't super chat in Israeli shekel.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have is there a symbol for, like, what does the symbol look like?
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
tried to send a super chat, but it
We
might have
probably
just been
don't
my
have
phone.
that many Israeli viewers.
Oh, I was just looking at the demographics of of the audio version of the podcast, and I was surprised by some of the there's Dominican Republic viewers, there's Costa Rican viewers. It was very cool to see stuff like that. That there's
You're
people
reaching
from
people all over the world.
Yeah, obviously the majority is America and Canada, but there are viewers from. I mean, there's a man watching right now I know who is from Greece. He's from Greece, so we're talked to a lot of people. And then we have the one Wii viewer. We have the one guy who watches on his Nintendo Wii.
Do we have Switch viewers?
I don't know. Dane would be able to
thing?
tell that, I think, if there was a Nintendo Switch viewer. So.
Okay.
So yeah, they will get a Little Mermaid release in China for it. Will it actually help the movie? I don't know. And my other question is, will they edit? Will the music be the same, or will they edit the music? It would be interesting to see what is China's take on
over a dubbed version. That would be awful.
Well, it'd be interesting if they do it's done. They do the Chinese dub, but then the song is just done in English.
What doesn't make sense about it to me is it's a movie about rebelling and wanting freedom and escaping your kingdom.
China doesn't like that.
China doesn't like any of these themes. I don't even think that those themes resonate with Chinese people who would possibly view the movie anyway.
Well, plus,
and they're kind of racist.
I mean, yeah, that's the
so
at
that's
the very
the
least,
elephant in the room.
The government.
Okay,
right?
But a lot of the civilians, I'm sure, are also kind of racist.
I'm more comfortable just blaming the government all the time.
You're more comfortable doing that, but
yes, I'd rather just blame the government for
this is about what you're comfortable with saying.
Yes. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, we do know the story that back when Black Panther came out, they wouldn't allow Chadwick Boseman to appear on the cover without his helmet on in the Chinese version of the poster, and they shrunk the Finn. The Finn character in the Star Wars The Force Awakens poster.
That.
Yeah, so all of that stuff is very, very clear. We'll see what goes with that, so we will see. We don't just have that, though, guys. I did also want to point this out. This isn't really a huge story, but it kind of is a little bit near and dear to me. If you know who the Kardashians are, you know who Lamar Odom is. He's had his own history with substance abuse. He purchased 3 rehab centers and looks to be doing a bunch of work in the community.
I thought he started them himself.
I think he purchased them from another. They were going to go under, and he purchased them to keep them open. It says he says the NBA star explained that he acquired. So when I hear acquired, I assume that means he purchased them from an outside company. Otherwise, it would say he opened 3 rehab centers. It says his goal is to help others battling addiction turn their lives around, as he did years ago. And that's about as close to a heartwarming story as you can get from anyone close to the Kardashians, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's really positive.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. It'll be interesting to follow. Their centers in San Diego, El Cajon, and Lemon Grove. I don't know where Lemon Grove is. So. But small facilities, but that's important, right? We need, if celebrities are we were gonna cover an article today about how Harry and Meghan work 1 hour a week for their charity. That has they had $13 million come in, and they work exactly 1 hour a week on their charity. I'd rather see somebody actually put their time and their money towards something that's actually beneficial to the community rather than
that's
Harry
just obvious
and Meghan.
Tax fraud.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Yep.
What are they doing?
During
that hour a week, what are they doing?
Is
it just an all-hands meeting where everyone tells them how good of a job they're doing?
At the spa. They go to a spa to do that because she's I will not work on this project unless I am being pampered because I am Meghan Markle and I'm annoying.
They check the progress of their rom-com films that they're
yes,
making.
Well, that nobody will end up
that
watching.
They don't want any attention for.
Let me guess. The rom-com is about it's going to be an American actress.
They'll swap them. It'll be a male actor.
A male actor from America
and a
who
princess
finds a princess and they fall in love and then they escape her oppressive family.
Yes.
How original.
How original.
It would be fantastic.
Flowers for spring, groundbreaking.
All right, guys. Also, I would have loved for this story to come out the other day. Usher got in deep trouble for he played an April Fool's prank on his audience while he was doing a show on April Fool's Day, where he said Beyonce was going to come on stage and she wasn't there.
We've got a chat from Jacob Edler.
Yes.
He said, theory, they will intentionally make Harry Potter woke and terrible like Velma, and then use the backlash to condemn cishet whites again, while tanking J.K. Rowling's notoriety due to the new stain on her franchise. Everything's a sigh. Everything's a sigh.
Everything is in fact a sigh.
Why was I singing that same song earlier? Did you
Today?
notice? Yeah.
I don't know. Why?
Or I was like, it was that, but everything's gay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's South Park. Right?
Was that on South Park?
Yeah. Wasn't that a South Park song?
It comes from the Lego movie.
No.
Everything is awesome.
I do believe that that I don't know if J.K. Rowling will let that happen. She is the last great author to have fantastic control over her properties. So I assume that won't happen. She won't allow it to be degraded that way. If anything, people are going to have to hold their nose.
Fantastic Beasts happened, though.
Yeah, but that wasn't based on the original source. I mean, that was just like an attempt at something. Plus, she's like, if they know what they're doing, they won't let her anywhere near the screenplay. Because she can write books, she cannot write screenplays. So we'll get into that. We'll wait to get into that.
Regardless, it'll be difficult to taint her notoriety.
Yeah. Well, she'll just become more notable, if anything. Also, guys, if you are a fan of Gone with the Wind and you, for some reason in the year 2023, were going out to purchase a new copy of it, it now comes with a publisher's note that says, it's a white supremacist, warning. This is like Agatha Christie and everything else. We live in stupid times.
Well, the movie
gentlemen.
Gone with the Wind is on Amazon Prime,
and
right?
It has a trigger warning.
And it has not a trigger warning, whatever. It's a discretion warning for. Is it for the racism?
Yes, depictions in language that's offensive by modern day standards.
I see.
Also,
so that's nothing new.
Nope. So.
But it's not like it was portrayed in a positive way. I haven't read the book. I watched the movie, and that is not portrayed as like a positive thing.
Yep.
It's also like Scarlett O'Hara is a bad person.
Yep.
So
well, one of the things that I think is actually really interesting about that, we don't actually talk about it that often, is because people are now so just obsessed with celebrity and fame. They don't understand that when you portray a character as bad, that you're actually saying something bad about them because all they want is to be famous. So when you're portraying a bad character in a bad way, that's not an endorsement of their behavior to say that they're good. It's just that you just so happen to be watching it in a medium that brings fame to people who play bad roles. Does that make sense? Like, people mistake the fame that comes to an actor for a character that's bad with glorifying a character itself that is bad.
No, that just means they're a good actor.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna, I guess, get into that later with the good for her topic.
Yep. And also, you might be interested to see this. You want to look over here. There has been stabilized AI footage that seems to prove that Bigfoot is in fact a man in a suit, in a bear suit. I asked Wesley if he had seen this. He says he has.
I think there are men in bear suits pretending to be Bigfoot.
This is from the famous
that doesn't
footage.
mean that there's not a Bigfoot.
Yes. It says the mystery of Bigfoot was captured. This is from the famous video. Everyone's seen that screenshot.
From 1967.
Here, let's watch it. Let's see if we can. Yeah, here we go.
The music.
AI is gonna get everything, man. Obviously, if you've seen the original video is hilariously. I love how anytime somebody's filming something that needs to be caught on film, they just suddenly become like the most.
Yeah.
Their hands can't sit still. They can't seem to keep any shot steady.
Well, the truth is, the real Bigfoot knows how to avoid the cameras.
Yeah, well, that would make sense, right? What do you think that is? Do you think there's like some type? He has some type of sixth sense that senses when the camera's on.
Maybe.
Well, in this one, he's literally looking at
the
cameraman.
Also,
like, you get the shot.
You good?
Well, back then he didn't have like like cameras weren't like they are now. They couldn't retake it. They probably only had one shot to get. And they couldn't get more footage.
Right before it's over, you hear cut.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is evidence we had realistic ape suits in the 1960s for purchase.
Well, wouldn't a ghillie
Where
suit
would
have
he find
existed
it?
back then?
That doesn't look like a ghillie suit.
No, but I'm saying the idea that somebody could have made it, and didn't the guy?
Who is this dedicated to convincing everybody that?
But I thought the guy who actually made
exists.
this footage like admitted that it was a hoax. like a long time ago.
Was there like a documentary?
Yeah, like the guy who shot it admitted
If I
that it was
did
a
it.
hoax. Yeah, if I did it, here's how. And he's like, I got my huge, and you know that in the 60s that camcorder was like this big.
But
and
if-
he's like on his shoulder. Maybe it was like, it wasn't shaky because he wanted it to be. It was just so heavy he couldn't keep it up.
If
just
Bigfoot
struggling.
were real, wouldn't he live in like a jungle
You would hope.
in like
You would
the
think.
Amazon, not in North America?
I don't know. See, he's
He's in like an upright ape.
There's a great meme of like a guy who says like his favorite thing to do ever since trail cams were a thing was to put on an ape suit and go like linger around his neighbor's trail cams to make it look like Bigfoot's just hanging out in the woods. That's awesome. Like I love the idea of like dad pranks.
If my dad saw that, he would lose his mind.
Would he?
Oh yeah, he's got trail cams. He would be so excited. I'd be getting calls all day.
He'd be like taking screenshots and sending them
Yeah.
to you like, look at Bigfoot is hanging out in my yard.
He
That
would
is
be so
awesome.
proud.
See, it actually, the funny thing that reminded me of is like things that look out of place. In the first Scream movie, there's a really funny scene where like the guy, like Ghostface, is in the woods where he would never look more out of place than
The
a guy.
original one?
In the first Scream movie, he's like, there's a scene like they pan out and he's like, you see him in the trees and I'm like, he's super noticeable in the trees.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not the right outfit
No.
to be disguised in the woods.
That makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, all right.
Is there a movie like a slasher film with Bigfoot yet?
I don't know. Oh, I'm sure there is. There's probably something like that. See, what I want. You know what I
I
want
thought
them
he
to
was
make?
supposed to be a peaceful animal.
Yeah, but it'd be a fiction, obviously, because he's peaceful.
He'd have to be on cocaine.
You know what? Yeah.
Bigfoot.
He would be cocaine.
You might
foot.
be onto something.
Yeah.
Coke foot. I like it. You know what I would like to see them make is a horror movie about a killer pizza delivery guy who, whenever he gets like a bad tip, he just slashes your throat with like a pizza cutter. Nobody ever uses the pizza cutter as a weapon.
No,
in
we
a horror
watched
movie.
a movie recently. I think it's called House of the Devil.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It's an older one. But there is a pizza guy, but he's not actually a pizza guy. He pretends to be the pizza guy.
Oh, it's even worse.
Yeah, but I like that idea.
Got to use the pizza cutter. I've
they
never
that
seen
sharp?
that. I mean, they can be if you make it. You just get them right across the throat there. Like somebody
If
needs
it's
to
a
make that
horror
movie.
film, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to do that. Like they show him like sharpening it like really clumsily because it doesn't really sharpen easy. He's got to like twist it and turn it like that. I'm down for that one. He's got to wear like the all red, like a Papa John's uniform, and it's like stained with a deeper tone of red for the blood.
Blood-stained.
Yeah, like
yeah.
it's not even red. It's like a white shirt that's now stained red from all the blood.
Have you ever thought about writing a screenplay, Brett?
No, I haven't.
Now might be the time.
We should do that. Well, yes, I am in fact a writer now. Anyways, so, yes.
He's an author.
Yes,
even.
that's what they call me. Also, guys, there is a trailer for Barbie. I don't want to play it because it's got a Beach Boys song. I don't want to get
Beach
us.
Boys is a good choice.
Yeah, but I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Can we mute it?
I mean, we could watch I guess we could watch it without the audio. Do you want to just risk it? I don't want to get.
We can just play the first 15 seconds that don't have the song in it.
All right, here we go. Barbie Land. Does that type of heel have a name?
A high heel?
Marabou.
No, Hi, Barbie.
Sorry.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
I can.
See, Simu Liu ruins everything. He really does.
Does he? Then at the end of the trailer, Michael Cera is just kind of standing there, like he doesn't have any lines.
And Michael Cera probably doesn't help much either, but I will say that there's something I like about it. I do like the color palette, and I like the color grading of it. It's very on point. It's very Mattel.
When there are so many like dull, gray, boring
Yeah.
looking movies and TV shows now, where everything's dark and there are no vibrant colors.
Shimmy
in
Shelley's
anything.
right. Those are called kitten heels. Yes,
Kitten heels.
kitten heels.
I quite like Margot Robbie too. I feel like if anyone can make a movie interesting, it's her.
Yep, I'm a fan of Mar. She's what you would call the classic Hollywood beauty structure, right? She's
Definitely.
She very much has. I've been watching Mortal Kombat Conquest, and there's like Jamie Presley has like a 3-episode arc, and it's really funny because they basically look kind of the same. Like the hairstyles were different at that time. There was they were more focused on straighter hair back then, but it's very funny.
Do you think that Barbie is going to be a girls rule, boys drool type of
I don't know.
feminist
there is
movie.
kind of
Because the poster says Barbie is everything. Ken is just Ken or whatever. I don't know what it said.
If they made that, I won't begrudge them for doing that. It's not like I want male. I'm not gung-ho
Ken
for
should have gotten more focus in the Barbie movie.
I don't care how much focus Ken gets in the Barbie movie. This is the perfect example of us trying to lead by example when people say like it's not necessarily everything needs to be like the hill to die on. Like it's not the end of the world if they make Barbie a feminist movie. I don't care.
If there's any movie that should be like girl power, it's Barbie.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Is it marketed
But
towards kids or just
No.
No, it's Greta Gerwig. So it seems like
Okay.
it's more like women.
There's another
in their
part of the
30s.
trailer where they're at her dream house, and Ken is like, "I think we should spend the night together because we're boyfriend girlfriend," and she's like, "Oh, to do what?" And he's like, "Honestly, I'm not sure." So it's like it makes references like that, but
okay.
it's not.
High Voltage
kids.
75 says, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." They vowed not to use that song in the movie.
Well, they weren't allowed to, right? They weren't given the rights.
I don't think they wanted to use it. I think they find that song to be distinctly anti-feminist now because that
Really?
song is well, the Ava Max.
Are they going to use the Ava Max song?
I'm on a one-man jihad against that Ava Max song.
She called it "Not Your Barbie Girl."
Yeah, and it's like
and all the lyrics
it takes-
are like.
It takes all the fun and frivolousness of the 90s and just pisses on it. Sorry for the
It's
language.
true.
It does. Like it's like, oh, you remember that kind of innocent song from when you were a kid? I mean, you wouldn't have been. It's more my childhood.
Is it Aqua?
Aqua, Barbie
I
Girl.
remember that song.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
takes that and turns it into like a lame girl boss feminist anthem that's really and somehow becomes about bodily autonomy.
You can't touch me there.
As if like anyone was saying back then that a guy should just be allowed to touch you even if you don't want him to. Nobody was saying
it
that.
was literally
That's
Barbie
fun.
like saying an affirmative consent to
Yes.
you can't. Like it was literally
Dude,
I don't know how anyone could frame that song as misogynistic.
I got very upset when I heard like I found recently that it's actually like songs with annoying lyrics that end up pissing me off more than movies and television these. I have no idea why.
Well, they'll get
Yeah.
stuck in your head easier.
That is true.
And they're on
That's true.
TikTok.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got to deal with the regular version, the sped up version, the slowed down version, the dubstep remix, the the grindcore remix, all the nightcore remix, all the remixes of all the songs.
What do you guys think of the trend of speeding up songs really fast?
I like nightcore more than lo-fi if we're comparing the two.
I mean, I grew up. I would prefer the slowed down version, but that's just because.
I think it's because you're a liberal.
Is that why? Because I'm a liberal.
Yeah.
And nightcore, like, was it? You said nightcore is conservative and
Nightcore is inherently right wing.
I don't.
Lo-fi is inherently more like liberal.
Dude,
I usually don't like it. You know that one song, Sure Thing? I like that one sped up.
I don't. There's a couple of them that are okay. I mean, it's really just done for TikTok. It's done so people can make.
But now they're on Spotify.
Yeah.
They're getting streamed on Spotify as the different version.
Yeah, and then like a lot of them, and it's literally just called like this song sped up. They don't even have like a title for like that type of. It's literally just called being sped.
Why
up.
don't we just call it Nightcore? Like we know what it is.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed that it's Nightcore.
Nightcore has better artwork, anyways.
It's just like anime girls in
and
weird
furry
costumes.
and furry shit.
Furry
Like,
shit. And now that means you release a single 3 times over. And
it's like editing a book, Mary. It's like making a censored version of a book and then releasing the regular version too. It's all late stage capitalism.
Then the BTS army got into this whole argument with the Spotify like corporation over this because one of the BTS members like didn't get as many streams or like didn't get the same charting as he would have if they hadn't like if they didn't combine the separate releases of the singles right, so he didn't chart right, and they were like, "This is because you're racist." And
I remember that. I forgot like that. Like even in a world where most of those claims are a stretch, that was like the biggest stretch
or
I'd seen
not
in a long
even
time.
just racist. They think that Spotify just specifically has it out for BTS members, and it's like why? Like why would they?
Well, to be honest, the last thing you want to do is piss off BTS fans.
Why would Spotify as a company have any problem with one of their highest performing artists? Why would they specifically target them?
It doesn't actually make any sense at all. Somebody says, is Ace of Base Nightcore? Listen, everyone should be listening to Ace of Base right now after this show. Go listen to Cruel Summer or I Saw the Sign.
Cruel
Don't
Summer is a
turn
good
around.
song.
Yeah.
I remember that from Karate Kid.
Was it the rap version of it? I remember that somebody made a really crap
What?
rap
No,
like where
I've
they
never
rap
heard that.
over that song.
I only know
Bad.
the original.
Don't Turn Around is good too. All right, and we do have cringe of the day today, Mary. We do.
We do.
And it is Taylor, you'll be able to see it on that screen over there.
This is from a Taylor Swift concert.
Here we go.
for context.
I'm turning that down, and I that guy is just
What am I watching?
it's just not the type of like.
It's not the time or place.
To be fair, like the fatherless behavior isn't really in play. I mean, Taylor Swift, the only people that can afford Taylor Swift concerts likely have a father. I'm just saying.
Who's paying for the tickets?
Yeah, who the hell is paying for your tickets if you don't have a dad?
Did I just witness some like grinding at a Taylor Swift concert?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And
Like intensely. And in front of like old middle-aged moms and like probably children as well.
it's like that. There was like during 2020 or 2021, there was like people having sex at baseball games.
They
in, like,
were?
the top. Yeah, like at least
What?
I remember 2 instances showing up on TMZ where like they're like couple has sex at baseball game and gets kicked out.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
It was cool in Fast Times at Ridgemont High where they did it in the dugout, but it's
It's
not
a-
cool to do it at the actual game.
It's a different time. It's like Fast Times. It's like the 80s. Oh, also, my favorite part is also how distracted he is. He's really not paying all that much attention.
He's
to-
there for Taylor.
He's really there
not
for Taylor.
For her. Well, it's just like, why is she... They're also just doing it in a really awkward, robotic way.
It looks like she's got an itch.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's this great
Can you
lady.
get that? I can't reach that.
Yeah, no.
There's an amazing lady who does this. She does like if everything was narrated like a Taylor Swift concert, and she's like, I'm going to the mall, and
Yeah, she's always throwing her microphone up in the air, isn't she?
and pulling it back. So this lady, like, she narrates her whole day with like a comb or a brush, and does the Taylor Swift
She's
arm
like-
thing. Yeah, constantly.
She does do that a lot, doesn't she? Hides the lip syncing. But I don't think Taylor Swift concerts are kid friendly anymore. Anyway, I've seen she's kind of gotten a little bit raunchy with the dances, the choreography.
Well, the kids have aged out of her shows, right? I mean, are kids really going?
I don't
to her
know. I
shows?
saw this video of Selena Gomez's little sister, who's like 9 years old, go up to the stage. She got to go up to the stage because she's Selena Gomez's little sister. But
Yeah.
she went up to the stage and she's like definitely 3rd grade, 4th grade age looking,
Yep.
and gave Taylor a friendship bracelet
Aw.
in
I mean, that
exchange for her
seems-
hat.
That seems almost
There are kids
like
that still listen to Taylor Swift. But I don't know. I don't think it's appropriate anymore.
All right, guys, we're moving on, and we are going to get started. So, Harry Potter is going to be adapted into a television series on HBO Max. They're looking to make this 7 seasons long, with each season being one of the books. One thing that I find is really interesting about this is they might actually be able to do it without aging out the kids too fast now. Like, one of the hardest part about making the movies is like they suddenly hit puberty, and then you're in a race against the clock to
The
get the
third
movies
movie,
done.
their voices are just cracking like
Hi,
this.
Harry. It's nice to meet you, Ron. Yeah, their voices are all over the place. So it will be interesting to see that, first of all. The second thing is, this is my take on this. There's literally no one that has made a property that's got more landmines around it right now than just about anything J.K. Rowling does, and it better be worth the money. You better get your return on investment, those at least as much as Hogwarts Legacy is getting. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. The all of the controversy that followed Hogwarts Legacy goes away once you start playing the game. If you're watching the shows, those controversies will follow it the whole way through. Like, once you purchase the game, you've purchased the game.
The game
right?
releases one time.
And
the
then-
show releases
exactly.
constantly for 7 years, supposedly, or more.
Exactly.
If they're taking, like, I don't know why they always do this, but they take like 2 years to renew seasons these days,
Yeah.
or longer sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes they get renewed right away after. It depends on the numbers. It was a lot easier to know how to do that back when it was on television because you had very clear statistics that everyone could look at from Nielsen that could tell you whether it was worth renewing a show or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not really the case. So this is the thing.
It's gonna suck.
It's a landmine all the way around. Rowling will have to be involved because of how much power she has over the franchises. She will not be allowed to be the showrunner, and I actually think that that's the right thing to do because she does not know
She has
how
no
to.
experience.
She's not a director. She's not a script writer. She's proven that over and over again. She's a fine writer. Fine. You are not a script writer. That is not the same thing. She's already done all the damage by changing all the characters and like, oh, this character, now Dumbledore's gay. Now Hermione was suddenly black. She's already set herself up for failure with the casting, which is now going to be an extremely emotionally charged process. And I predicted a long time ago that most of the people that whenever a Gen Xer or a older millennial would get mad when they would race swap a character, and the young millennials and younger would say, oh, why do you care so much? Why does it bother you so much? This is when they will finally understand why it bothers so many people, right? Because if they end up hiring Jonathan Majors to play Harry Potter, oh, come on, that'd be funny, right? Jonathan Majors can play adult
After
Harry Potter.
his Me Too, though?
Yeah. So, like, they will have trouble pleasing anyone in the
How
course
about
of
they
making
just
something like this. And
get-
Rowling's not going to stop tweeting.
Imagine if the original cast were willing to come back and we just don't acknowledge that they're adults.
Like they were supposed, like everyone wanted them to do with, they wanted to make a new Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin, but you just never
We just
acknowledge
don't
the fact that
acknowledge.
he's like in his 40s rather than 9 years old.
We pretend not to see it.
Or no, it'd be even funnier if they de-age them.
Oh, but that would be creepy.
That would be like super
Or
de-aged.
just make the whole thing AI.
Yeah,
You could
like
now.
just like actually bring the book character to life.
Uncanny Valley.
Like Rowling won't be the showrunner, but she will be involved. In fact, they mention here, they say Rowling will be involved in the Harry Potter remake for HBO so she can ensure it remains loyal to her original material. Well, what original material? The books, all of the revisions you made after the books already came out, all of the
Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts, all that stuff. And here's the thing. Now people are very mad, and there is no group of people in the world that is more confused and angry than people who like love Harry Potter but hate J.K. Rowling, to the point where I actually kind of feel bad for them.
No.
Like they've got this like
Don't feel
deep
bad for them.
attachment to something, but then can't they can't like reconcile what their love for this franchise meant as it was when they were children to what they have now been told by the media J.K. Rowling represents. I've got some tweets here. I've actually got several pages of tweets here from people. The first is from the Screen Rant article. So this one says, this is from somebody who says, it's very important to separate the art from the artist when it comes to the Harry Potter franchises. Yes, J.K. Rowling is perhaps the most evil children's book author alive. But we can't forget the idea of Harry Potter HBO TV series also absolutely sucks.
I know that there are more evil children's book authors.
Yeah.
For a fact.
Do you think they can explain why they think she's so evil?
No, I mean, I think they can spout you like what the headlines would say, but they wouldn't be able to point you to actual tweets or anything. The other thing that's funny about this to me is like, where do you draw the line? Like, okay, J.K. Rowling's a bad, but let's work under the assumption that they're correct and J.K. Rowling is a bad person, right? Okay, she's a bad person. We get rid of her. What about shareholders who make money off this? What about the printer? Is there a guy who works for the printing agency that's a bad guy? Was the editor of the book a good guy? Like, how many background checks are you going to do in the entire process of getting this made and getting all of the people who make royalties. It's not like she's the only one who gets residuals off stuff like this. There are plenty of people in the production line that will end up making money off all of these things. Are you going to run a purity test on each and every one of them, or do you only run the purity test on J.K. Rowling?
These people don't live in the adult world, and they don't really think about the fact that other people are involved.
Yeah.
They think that just like the food they buy from the store suddenly appears on the shelf and that is where it originated.
Yeah.
Also, when a TV series comes out, it just shows up they put it in the TV box and then you just click the button and that's how it shows up. There are no people involved in the development of it. It doesn't have consequences that ripple out, butterfly effect for literally thousands of people, millions of people.
It's one of the reasons I'm actually more lenient. I'm so lenient on a lot of media. Is like once you've gone through that process, how much work goes into getting stuff like this made, and the fact that good stuff gets made at all, given all of the restrictions on Hollywood, both financial and social, given how they seem to self-segregate themselves and impart all of these rules on themselves. I'm actually amazed anything good gets made. Like the fact that the show Reacher turned out as good as it did is literally a minor miracle. And we will talk about that a little bit more in Rings of Power. There's some more tweets here. So this lady says, a few years ago, this would have been a dream. Now it's a slap in the face. JKR has destroyed everything that was special about Harry Potter, and there's no universe in which I will support anything that gives a literal villain like her money or recognition.
It's ironic that J.K. Rowling kind of created the world that these people now live in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she created their imagination of the world, that there are villains and heroes and the 100% like trodden on, oppressed, and then the 100% evil people.
And everyone's a Voldemort
Well,
to
the
them.
problem
like,
is
yeah.
outside of that, J.K. Rowling also understands reality.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing because they like a lot of
problem to them, I mean.
A lot of the articles point out they're like J.K. Rowling's come under fire for her political positions. Like her one position, like she agrees with you on literally everything else. She is a feminist to the core in every other way, and she has now been outcast about one tiny issue in a whole realm of issues. Everything else she talks about is generic feminism.
If I thought that her feminism was something she does performatively, then I would be like, okay, well, your brothers in arms like turning on you is kind of well deserved because you're hypocritically pushing this ideology. But I do actually think that this is an ideology she genuinely subscribes to, and I don't support it with her. But like, I can see that she's at least genuine in believing in it.
I've actually got some funnier tweets here that they get worse.
They get worse?
They get worse.
Okay.
Harry Potter was the 9/11 of literature, and we need to put a stop to J.K. Rowling and her devious activities that causes. That could be satire. I don't know.
I hope that's satire.
But I'm not 110% sure. If it's not, good for him.
I mean,
or if it is, good for him.
It's not like in the pantheon, what I would call the pantheon of like the greatest literature in history, but it's not. I wouldn't call it the 9/11 of literature.
Did you guys ever hear? There was an article last year by a journalist, E.J. Rosetta, I believe it's Rosetta, and she was assigned the job of writing an article like 20 worst things that J.K. Rowling's ever said, and then she came out with a different article where she said, I investigated all this and I couldn't find anything that's that bad and that I didn't agree with. And since then, I think she was let go from that journalist position, and she's kind of joined the Twitter turf squad, and she's been speaking up about things, and she's a lesbian also, so she's talked about like lesbian spaces being invaded. But it was interesting because I think if more people would look into what she has said, her tweets that are considered so controversial, rather than just headlines that are made to be shocking and upsetting, then they might realize that they have more in common with her than they think, and that she's not so bad.
But it also doesn't even matter
in
relation to like your ability to enjoy entertainment.
True.
Like it you don't need to even read the tweets or care or engage with this at all.
Like if you like someone's art, you can like someone's art. Like I'm not a feminist by any means, but I definitely agree with her on some things. but that doesn't matter to me when it comes to watching a movie.
Right.
Most of what I talk of the movies we watch, a lot of the people involved in them say things that I disagree with or don't
all the
see
time.
eye to eye. I think that's just something if you live on the proverbial other side of the aisle, you get a lot more comfortable with than people who have their reality, their world kind of shown back to them every single day. And affirmed, as now seems to be the popular term in culture. They have their view of reality reaffirmed to them each and every day by all the people around them. There was actually somebody who made an interesting comment on the article I wrote about Hollywood and the role in which distractions, like the Hollywood celebrities and influencers, play as distractions. And he said, this is echo chamber BS. And I said, I'd actually say that most of the people I work with, where you would consider this the echo chamber, actually think that I'm more lenient on these people than most of them are. So I don't actually agree with that. I don't think that I'm in an echo chamber with that. I think I actually have more of a centrist take on a lot of this than a lot of the people that I work with.
I think when people find themselves in echo chambers, more often than not, it's on the internet.
Yeah.
And, like, I've said this before.
I don't know about that. Like, because a lot of people will be in friend groups where it's just better to not, they won't speak their mind, so it becomes an echo chamber because people don't want to have those difficult discussions in person. So it's like a lot of friend groups, if you're a generically liberal person, you're never going to have those hard discussions with someone. And J.K. Rowling might actually be an interesting one to introduce into deviously introduce into your friend group. Everyone's had 1.5 beers and you're like, so how about that J.K. Rowling stuff, huh? And just see what they all say.
I mean, as I'm thinking about female friend groups right now, if there's one girl in a friend group of echo chamber liberal feminists, her views that differ from the rest essentially don't exist.
Yeah.
If a view, if we're talking the average millennial girl, if some viewpoint pops into her head that differs from the groupthink, it is discarded so quickly that it might as well not exist. It's just incinerated and just thrown into the shredder that is inside her brain. So it doesn't even, she can't recall it. It's like it never happened. Yep. So it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I am going back to the idea of a Harry Potter TV series. I am opposed to it for entirely different reasons than anything having to do with J.K. Rowling, her character, her ideology, anything. I just think we're going in circles here. We need something new, and millennials are the ones who care about Harry Potter. Zoomers, for the most part, from what I can tell, are not as into it. They want something that can be their own. Why do millennials get to have this? But there's nothing new that the next generation can care about, or even kids younger than that.
Dogman, the Dogman series, that's Raina Telgemeier, right? Those are popular amongst kids, young kids, so maybe that will end up being made into,
maybe not to the same scale though.
We've had enough Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm just tired of rehashing everything over and over and over, and they're talking about John Wick 5 now. I saw John Wick 4 yesterday, and I should have seen it earlier. I liked it. And I think that I was surprised actually, because I don't usually like action movies that come out nowadays, but it's how an action movie is supposed to be, in my opinion. And it's an actual miracle that they can reach the 4th movie of any franchise and it not be dog shit. Even a second movie, anything, even the first.
I usually tune out after a sequel.
Yeah.
Well, what they've done with those movies is the stories become more convoluted but less important, and it leans heavier into the action, and the story's just kind of the coins. How much is one coin worth? Nobody really knows.
But at the very least, the action is choreographed thoughtfully.
Yeah, and that's
in
what
other action movies, I can't say it is.
That's why that series became as popular as it was. Wide sweeping shots, not endless cutting that disorients you and takes you out of the environment. Long takes from camera work, or very well hidden cuts in the camera work. Chad Stahelski's done fantastic work on the series. Also, another thing that they point out is that it says, 10 years ago, this is what I would have wanted. Now producing this. will put money in J.K. Rowling's pockets. Daniel Radcliffe was an excellent Harry Potter and is a true LGBTQIA plus ally.
Radcliffe is a whack job ideologue.
Yeah.
Really badly. Like, I think he's being held hostage by the Trevor Project.
Yeah, it says he promotes gender transitions for children, saying we can trust kids to tell us who they really are. Did you see the thing recently where, like, in New York,
what does it even have to do with you?
Yeah.
They can't choose their bedtime, but they can choose their gender.
But
right?
there's those articles that are coming out in New York and California where they want to like raise the age to like 25 before they'll even consider charging you as an adult because your brain's not fully developed until you're 25. So they're like, you couldn't possibly have been responsible for your own actions. Good times.
There are a lot of inconsistencies and contradictions there.
So Harry Potter, look, my take on it is this is one of those situations where it sounds fantastic on paper. We've got 7 whole seasons, which means we've got a full season to flesh out a book rather than the 2.5-hour movie. We've got all of this time. We can adapt it much more accurately. And all of that sounds fantastic on paper, but is infinitely harder to do once you actually try pulling it off in the actual medium.
I wouldn't envy the kid who has to play Harry Potter second.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah,
that's not great. Or whoever has to play Hermione Granger, like any of these characters that are well known, well liked, you're going to be torn apart by whoever watches it. That's just a fact, and that's why we shouldn't make everything 5 times over.
Yeah. Also, did you guys see that they, like I mentioned before, they are making live action Moana? And I was like, didn't Moana just come out like a couple of years ago?
It was in 2016.
Yeah. And The Rock is going to be involved in this. The Rock will be involved.
It's the same thing like making a biopic while the subject of it is still alive.
I can't
let it be like put to rest for a while. Let it have its own moment of like impact or relevance in the culture before you start siphoning more and more.
Or just make a sequel if they want to keep telling the Moana story.
Well, I'm sure they're doing that part too. They're doing the sequel and the live action adaptation and the prequel and the reboot and the spin-off of the side character. And they're just wondering, like, why is Disney Plus bleeding all of this money?
It's funny, too, because people used to, like, that used to be the dream of every geek out there was, like, I would love, like, here's this great side character. I would love to see a story about this great side character. Because
that's what fan fiction is for, though.
Because back then, the side characters actually were interesting. Now, they're not really all that interesting. The only one
it's like, make a movie about Olaf from Frozen.
Yeah.
That'll go great.
And yes, Grant in the chat says, is Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the score? I think they actually said yes, he will be involved. Sorry. Lin-Manuel Miranda did an original song for The Little Mermaid. I apologize.
I think the reoccurring theme of the day is that there's a lack of original content being made.
No, here's the thing. I think there's plenty of original content. It's just that stuff never gets promoted in the same way that this stuff does. Like, all that stuff gets made. I'm actually kind of excited about Citadel. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the next segment. But there's stuff that I'm fairly excited or don't have a problem with. But I think also a lot of that money goes to crime documentaries, to true crime documentaries, and Dahmer. And
Dahmer is okay. It's getting a second season, but it's not Dahmer.
Dahmerer.
It's, remember how it was called, like, and then the third season is gonna be Dahmerest.
Dahmerist.
But wasn't it like Monster?
Yeah.
Colon Dahmer. The Dahmer story.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer colon. Like, it was just like
horribly
a mess.
named.
But it's like, it's titled that so that the next season can be made about a different person. So it's going to be John Wayne Gacy next.
Well, I mean, that's no different than like who they did the People versus O.J. Simpson, and Law and Order did their own true crime. That's just a big thing now that people want to see these stories.
Dahmer, the Dahmerer story.
to Jeffrey, to Dahmer.
I do love crime documentaries and shows, though.
Well, you're a girl.
I liked the Dahmer series.
You're a girl.
I watched that in like 2 days.
Yeah.
I think women are predisposed to loving true crime, and then they go out to parking lots and like, don't look at me.
No, I'm learning what not to do.
And then guys, oh yes.
Well, it's about psychoanalysis. That's
That
why
too.
women like true crime, I think.
Which is why they then go out to parking lots, and men 30 feet away say, hello, miss, and they go, oh my God, get away from me.
I was still on the fence about that video. I don't think she should have made the video, and she was flip-flopping her story a lot.
Yeah.
But
The Twitter
Yeah.
viral
but
video.
the essential
Okay.
point is that
play it safe when your
should,
kid's in the car.
play it safe.
I actually listened to a couple of explanations the other night that made me feel bad about like making fun of her. I'm like, yeah, I guess she's got her kid in the car, but at the same time, 30 feet is far away, and you could have said it once, and then that better
But
not
a gun is only 30 feet away that can kill you, you know?
But the idea was also, and then also like that better not have been the same parking lot. You better not have screamed that dude down and then sat in the same parking lot. And
No,
recorded
she
that
like
video.
went to the Dunkin' Donuts, the next shopping center down.
Can you imagine? He's like outside the car, like, "Are you all right? What's going on?"
She's like recording
She's
this
recording.
TikTok.
Well, that's the thing, right? For like, to me, I feel bad for the guy who's like, if he doesn't have ill intention towards her, he just now people are walking by.
It's not
like,
even
what is
about
this
the
guy
intention
doing?
though, because it's like you need to understand what's socially appropriate. I was in my car one time in a parking space, like minding my business, and this guy like gestures for me to open my window or like knocks on it briefly or something.
Yeah.
And I like opened it like this much, like
That
a
makes
crack.
sense, yeah.
And I was like, what? And he was like, why are you being so rude? Immediately, he didn't even ask me
You're
like any
being
normal
rude.
question. He
You're
was like,
banging
why
on
are you
someone's
why are you
window.
being so rude? And I was like, because you're a random man that just walked up to my car, and I'm just willing to say those
danger?
things, you know? And he was like, I don't know why you gotta be so rude though. And I was like, what did you want? What do you want? And he was like, well, I was just gonna ask what time it was. And I was
It'd
like,
be funnier if he asked you
I
if you had
don't
any Grey
know.
Poupon.
I was like,
People
I
in the
don't
chat
know.
will get it.
I don't know what time it is. Go away.
Somebody says Dom and Dahmer.
Dom
Oh,
and Dahmer.
gosh. No, there's definitely creeps out there, but I don't think that all men walking in a parking lot should be labeled as such.
No.
30 feet is just, and then to continue yelling at the guy, and the guy's just like, and then I'm just imagining the people walking by who now are looking at this guy as if he's some type of,
What if he was like, "Ma'am, your car's leaking a fluid"?
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
people were not happy. So there were many tweets about this. This one says Moana came out like last week.
It literally did. Or my like sense of time passing is completely warped.
Why are you remaking something that's not even 10 years old? Like, you guys, like, literally, Trump was elected when this came out. Like,
yeah.
he's not even in jail yet, and you're already remaking Moana. It says, why, though? Isn't it too early? Moana hasn't even been around for 10 years yet.
The problem is, I mean, I don't care how long it's been. If something came out in the 50s and you're trying to adapt it now, I still think that's a cheap trick to bring in a new audience to something that's just not a high quality piece of entertainment. You're lazy.
Yeah.
It's a lazy move no matter how long it's been since the original came out.
It's sad.
There have definitely been times though that I'm watching a movie though and thinking, man, with what they have to create film today, this would be awesome to make a remake.
See,
like we were just watching Phantasm, which is one of my favorite old horror films, and I thought they should make that, but like
They'll focus too
completely
much on
new.
the effects and not enough on the story, though, when they remake it.
Well, the story's crap anyway. Like, I want the effects. I want better gore.
Sure, yeah.
Casper. I love the original Casper. That
Wait.
doesn't need to be remade.
But if the effects you're saying are inadequate and the story sucks, then why do you like it?
Oh, it's awesome. It's you just have to
It
watch
will not
it.
recapture the magic. In fact, if anything, the modernity of it all will end up
All right,
souring.
Dream
into it.
Crusher.
It's got
Brett.
the coolest villain ever.
Yeah.
And then the heroes like Ice Cream Man.
It's like watching Power Rangers and wanting the Zords to be better. I don't want the Zords to be better. I want it to look like action figures on a play set. I don't
That I
want it
get.
to be better. I want it to stay the way it is.
Yeah.
This person says it's pretty depressing that the animation is literally the reason Disney even exists, yet they contribute to its disrespect at every given opportunity. It is Bob Iger's like, I'm back in charge. It's time to just remake everything, and eventually we'll be left with nothing. They'll probably won't do Tarzan. They'll probably leave Tarzan alone. I think they will be.
Who would play him? Jason Momoa.
Maybe. I mean, that kind. Well, he
looks
he
it.
played Conan, right? Or did he already play Tarzan? Chat. Let me know. Did he play Tarzan in something already? I could be misremembering that. Somebody might know, but he's already played some.
The live
some
chat's
type of,
better than Google.
Yes,
sometimes.
they are. Look, and the other thing is like The Rock is in like maybe they want to get The Rock while he's still young enough to play the character from Moana again because he's like
because if you don't get someone who is ethnically Samoan, they're going to find you and witch hunt you.
Yes.
With pitchforks and
well,
torches.
I mean, but he played the character in the animated
I know that,
too.
but it's like once again, the lack of creativity is shocking. I mean, even if it's a voice actor, they'll have their pitchforks out if they're not Samoan. So I don't know. I'm just tired of everyone being so easily
Somebody
offended.
says that's Aquaman, my guy. I'm obviously not talking about
What?
Aquaman. I'm
Not
obviously
the same role.
I'm not talking. He played Conan or something like that. Now I have to look it up.
Sounds like Surge.
That like is that Surge in the chat?
Surge, is that you?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look this up because I need to know.
Oh, there's some Phantasm fans in the chat too.
I bet.
There's a bunch of Phantasms. They made like way too many sequels, but I'm talking like a new remade original Phantasm.
Are there any horror movies you're looking
He played Conan the Barbarian in 2011. I knew it was one of those. Roles.
I haven't been paying attention to what's coming out.
We were just mentioning that this preview we saw for Evil Dead, is it Evil Dead Rising?
Yeah.
Or is it Rises?
Rises.
We were talking about going to see that.
Yeah, it just seems corny to me though.
Well,
like
the original Evil Dead is my favorite. I didn't hate the remake, but I'm interested in seeing it. I think it'd be worth checking out.
Oh, they said gender swap Tarzan. Let's go. Maybe we can have a female Conan the Barbarian.
Oh,
Tarzina.
I remember.
Tarzana.
I wanted to see
Tarzana, sorry.
Renfield too, but that's not a horror movie. That's just like I don't know.
Are you
it's horror
excited for the new
comedy.
Evil Dead?
I don't know if I'm even gonna.
No, you want to see the Pope's.
Yeah, the Pope's Exorcist seems to take itself more seriously.
That, trailer as well. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of exorcism movies now.
Yeah, we were talking about this too. Like, why are people so obsessed with this genre specifically?
Yeah.
You think it's because it's agnostics who find the...
I don't know how to articulate it, but it's got something to do with the declining religiosity, I think, of our society.
Yeah.
Which you think would make them less interested in
less
making
curious
that type of movie,
things like
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like that's a very specific supernatural-esque subsect of religion, right? Like it's not like I'm saying like the idea of exorcism, of exorcising the body of a demon is very, very different than just being interested in religion inherently.
In religion, like as a general
as a general
set
thing.
of
I think they're less
or...
interested in the religious aspect of it and more interested in the demon aspect of it.
Yeah.
How the demon connects to the religion, they could take or leave. Like you could take that part out. You could take the religion part out of there and make it you could make it a demon of any religion, and I think it would still interest those same people the same.
Mm-hmm.
They're more interested in...
I don't see movies that focus on like, I don't know, like demons in an Islamic culture.
No, then
like
they will
the
never
jinn.
make that movie. They will never make that movie.
Yeah.
Hollywood is still paying back its debt for all of the terrorist movies they made after 9/11 for the next 20 years. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny going back and watching old Hollywood. Like everything post 9/11, just the rah. I love it. It's such propaganda. Like, and I don't buy any of it, but it was so. Bud Light knew where its bread was buttered. Then I tell you,
where its bread was buttered.
I tell you, they did. So, all right, guys, we got some super chats there, Mary.
Yes, Regatan said, "Tell Tim and all to play Resident Evil 4 remake."
Does Tim have the time to play the Resident Evil 4 remake?
We'll march right downstairs and
Tim, stop
tell
eating.
our boss what to do for you. No problem.
We got you, buddy.
X said, chicken plus diaper equals stink bug control. I don't even want to know what this means.
I don't want any clue. I don't want
whatever
any...
it means. We need some stink bug control. They've probably seen me this whole time, just like
the other
everywhere.
day. The other day, there was a comment in the chat. It was one of my favorite ones we've ever gotten, where somebody goes, "Is there a drone in the room? What is Carter looking at?"
Just wait till one lands.
No, it's just
on
like
the camera
Carter's
lens.
just schizophrenic and looking at his hallucinations on the ceiling.
There's one right there. There's two right. No, there's three on the ceiling right now.
Oh my god.
Well, it's okay. We've got the pest control coming.
Yep.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Nice to see 2 out of 3 smart women who are also hot conversing. Happy Wednesday, Brett."
We're getting right on that podcast.
Yeah, they're pushing for a show.
Hot women talking.
Have you heard about
is what
this?
he calls it.
It's a fantastic name.
No, I like the idea of a show where the women here talk about news or
anything
issues.
but women's issues.
But we're not gonna call it hot women talking.
Yeah.
I love the name Hot Women Talking.
It could be kind of funny.
I love the name Hot Women Talking. I think that's what it should be
How
called.
about not women talking? And we just sit there
and don't talk at
silently
all.
and don't say anything.
That's an idea.
That's a good idea.
Where
too.
we're just like, it's a video of us just in the kitchen, like cooking and cleaning.
We just do anything but talk.
Yeah.
T-Bone said, "Taylor, did you decide to get Discord yet?"
Oh yeah, I'm on Discord.
Okay.
It's Taylor May Silverman on Discord, but I also go by Taybert Silverbert. But Bertman made some recent unsavory comments about hummus, so I'm thinking about leaving the cult.
Oh man, that's too bad. Well,
Why
I mean
would he do
that
that?
proves it, but that shows that you don't have like an unwavering devotion to the cult leader.
No.
If something is,
I have an unwavering devotion to hummus. Wait, are you guys on Discord?
I'm not.
I
Brett
highly
is.
recommend it.
I'm on the Discord. I
haven't seen you in there yet.
I pop in and out.
I also pop in and out. I haven't been on there a lot, but I'll try to join the chat on there. I was in the VIP chat the other night, and sometimes I make an appearance in the Cast Castle chat.
I never will, just because I don't know who could be lurking. You know, like
They can't like message you directly. You can just
I
join
know,
like the
but-
general chats.
just weirds me out. X said, "Happy National Burrito Day." If it is Burrito Day, if that's correct,
now I'm hungry.
I plan on
I
getting
love
one.
burritos.
I'm hungry.
But there's also
The best
a bunch
way to
of
eat
food
Mexican
downstairs,
food.
which we can't have because it got here 5 minutes before we started the show. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Also, I ran a poll the other
Kidding.
day. I know this isn't the most authentic of Mexican food, but do you guys prefer Chipotle or Qdoba? I'm from Michigan, so I love Qdoba.
Are they the
but
same type
Chipotle
of thing?
took the win.
I've never been to Qdoba.
They're very similar, but Qdoba's way better.
It's like saying
yeah.
Panda Express or Lian Chin's.
Yeah, basically.
I've never been to that. What's the second one that you
Lian
just said? I've
Chin's?
never even
I
heard
haven't
of
been
that.
there either, but I get what you're saying.
Chipotle makes me anxious because you have to like be fast when you order whatever you're ordering.
Same with Qdoba.
I have no idea what. I'm not that type of person. You know, I need an iPad where I can just safely like stare at it and wait for like 5 minutes before I know what I want.
See, after a skate session, I'm just like, give me burritos now.
It's burrito time.
Faster.
Now I'm hungry.
Well, today is the day. Arkeon said, "I wanted to give a big shout out to Mary. I loved you on the Whatever podcast. You were great. First 13-year-old to go on a podcast like that ever."
Ow!
Are you going back anytime soon?
I mean, I would like to. I don't know if I will anytime soon.
You were a
but
crowd favorite.
Yeah, I would like to.
Let's hold off on the rest and we will come back afterwards.
All right.
All right, guys. So we are going to continue. It's been a while since we've talked about this one. The Rings of Power is back in the news, and the news, unfortunately, is not good. Of the audience that spent $450 million to make this show, and only 37% of the viewers who started the show finished the show.
Well, actually, I think according to the Wall Street Journal, Amazon spent $715 million if you put it all together, the rights and the production costs, on just this first season. And we all know that it flopped, and Amazon was coping about it, trying to hide the numbers.
This is where you learn about how to lie with numbers and headlines, right? So we kept looking for information relating to the viewing numbers as the weeks went on, because they had these great viewing numbers for the first episode. But then for the next month, all you saw was rewritten articles about how great the numbers were, and all of the numbers that they used for reference were the ones from those first 2 weeks.
And look at all the critic reviews.
Yes, they were
are
so
glowingly
good.
positive.
So maybe a lot of people tuned in to check it out, but didn't stick around.
Well, that's what happened. Is people tuned in out of curiosity? They're like, "Oh, I love Lord of the Rings. I love Peter Jackson. What the hell is this garbage?" Like,
or they saw headlines that are,
anymore.
How much they spent on the show, and they're wondering, "This is going to be something great, right?"
Yeah.
And we're obviously disappointed. They said that overseas they got 45% of the people who watched the first episode to finish the season.
It's just the people in New Zealand who
maybe. Yeah. And then they said even a 50% completion rate wouldn't be considered exceptional if it had gotten there, but they were not even close.
But there was articles long before the show came out where executives, Taylor, basically said it has to do well. So we will make it, like, I don't care if it does well, it has to do well.
And anyone who says that it's not doing well for some reason has a conspiracy against us, a personal vendetta to frame it that way. Like Jennifer Salke at Amazon, she said, this desire to paint the show as anything less than a success, it's not reflective of any conversation I'm having internally. It's not reflective of the conversations I'm having internally where everyone lies to me.
That's because if she was having that conversation internally, it would be on her exit interview after she got fired.
I'm sure that all the conversations she's having internally are still people coping and misrepresenting the failure that's happened with this show.
It's like whenever you see these headlines, the world is run by ad agencies, agents, and spokespersons who are like, so-and-so attacked this woman, and say, let's soften that to got into a disagreement with this woman. So it's like the Rings of Power is a complete failure with only 37% of the people that finished the show, started the show, finish it. Let's soften that to Rings of Power had a fantastic first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and this comes from The Hollywood Reporter. There was a lot more to this article than just that, but it was like obviously the headline because they hid those numbers for so long. They said that Amazon Studios is in a crisis right now because they're constantly trying to get big name producers and big name directors and actors in their projects at the expense of making something that is actually good.
I actually thought that when they got Michael B. Jordan to do the movie Without Remorse. I'm like, I didn't feel like Amazon needed Michael B. Jordan to do the like an action movie like that. Like they could have gotten any number of like higher level television talents rather than whatever it cost them. Granted, I think he was a producer on that as well, but still that means that he's being paid a lot to be involved on something like that.
Yeah, it calls them star effers.
Yes,
where they'll just do anything to appease these big name producers that they want to work with in the future, so they'll let objectively unsuccessful shows continue running even though there's no profit from them, like The Peripheral. That is an example of a show that never should have continued to a second season, but they approved it because the people producing it, they want them on other stuff.
I wonder if
so they don't want to have a bad relationship with them.
One thing that they do in a lot of these shows is they greenlight it for 2 seasons right off the bat, but they don't announce the second season. They just they say
preemptively like, oh, what a great success, we approved it for a second season. Not going to tell you when we approved that.
The Peripheral too, which I couldn't get past the 3rd episode for, but loved. No, I loved the visuals of the show, but it was just kind of boring and didn't really speak to me. But then they had, and that's with Chloe Grace Moretz, who is objectively a big star. But then Reacher, which does as well as it does, only has Alan Ritchson, who's not a huge star, and certainly doesn't have the name recognition that Chloe Grace Moretz has. Now, The Terminalist did have Chris Pratt. And they did do the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt. So that would be your examples of they're just star effers, as you said.
But they're spending the most insane amounts of money on shows that are not being watched. Like Daisy Jones and the Six has $140 million budget.
Yeah. Where does that go?
There are so many movies that don't even come close to that.
Yep. And
nobody is watching it. I barely had even heard of it. I saw someone watching it on a plane, and I was like, "What's that?"
I've never heard of it.
And then you get,
and then they're selling this album from the fictional band in the show, and they're trying to recoup costs that way.
And then So in the chat, somebody says Alan is quite a huge star. I don't know if Alan Richardson is as big a star as Chloe Grace Moretz. By name value alone, I would put Chloe Grace Moretz up there. Though you could make the argument now with the success. What he was in Teen Titans, so he was in Titans. He was in that. I guess he was in Blue Mountain State back in the early 2000s. I don't think of him as the same level of star as a Chloe Grace Moretz. But also, remember, the other thing that they keep talking about here is, so if you remember, they made a TV version of A League of Their Own, which nobody needed or wanted to see because the original League of Their Own is considered a masterpiece in women's empowerment entertainment. And the funny thing is, the Kotaku article gets really in their feelings about the fact that when these types of shows that are heavy with the messaging don't work out, they said Amazon is too focused on the data.
Yes.
People don't like these shows, and Amazon is just a big meanie head who cancels the show because nobody's watching it, as if to say, like, not only should you give us hundreds of $1 million to make our boring, message-laden entertainment, you should then continue to do so even at a financial loss to yourself.
The
$20 one. From Hobbit
said, when is PCC getting a members only segment? Your lesser known sister show already has a members only segment with fan call-ins. User success. Got to show them up before you get overshadowed and left behind.
Yes, that is true.
So true.
That little show over there at Timcast IRL.
We'll think about that for sure. But anyway, to get back on topic, this Hollywood Reporter article said that Vernon Sanders at Amazon Studios is someone who pays too much attention to the data and to focus groups. And what they found from the focus groups is that the data shows audiences find queer stories off-putting and suggests that downplaying those themes in materials promoting the show would help.
Yeah.
So instead of selling a show on the ticket that it's queer, that everything about it is gay and it's super progressive and inclusive and diverse, instead you should sell it based on a story. That's a really radical idea to these people.
Which they used to be very good at back in the day by making anything. I don't care if it's guy or girl. All the themes that have to do with identity and sexuality are less important than whatever the overall story is, and all of those themes fit better when they're more craftily couched within the storyline and not pushed front and center, because it's not that interesting.
Here's one
really
piece of shade that was thrown by someone at Amazon at The Terminalist, Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, these types of shows. They said, all this perpetuation of white guys with guns, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Another said, relying on data is soul-crushing. There's never, I know the testing wasn't that great, but I believe in this.
Dude, so because I believe in it, you should spend hundreds of millions of dollars, waste it, so that I can make this project that I believe in that nobody else wants to see.
Salke took charge at Amazon and, quote, shot from the hip, went with her gut, and didn't let the data overrule her. Well, how has that worked out for you with Rings of Power when you went with your gut?
It's going fantastic.
It was a failure.
It's going fantastic. Didn't you see how good that first episode did, Mary? The viewership was so high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
just a foolproof plan. They need to stop shoving the gay stuff in people's faces. It's clearly off-putting, and it's only celebrated by people in a very secluded group on social media that are in an echo chamber, like you said, Taylor, that they only listen to each other. So, when they're looking for how something is received, they need to stop looking at TikTok and just start looking at the numbers.
And I think what you were saying about the story has to be important. The details about a character are also important, but if it's a crap story, none of that matters.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is there's just too much stuff being made these days, and getting a good story written is a lot harder than they realize.
Did you watch A League of Their Own?
I've seen the movie. I didn't watch the TV show. I would never watch the TV show. That's no.
The movie is good.
The movie was
the original movie.
I mean, obviously that was from a very long time ago, so that was at a far different time.
I'm biased to older movies.
Yeah,
movies used to be better.
It's true.
And Speaking of old movies, Mary's face right now is...
Wait, what is this soundbite from?
Do you know that movie?
What is it?
Funky butt lovin'.
It's from the movie Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I don't know if I know that.
The baseball movie where the kid hurts his arm and they can throw the ball really hard.
Oh, okay.
It's when he goes
I saw
to
that, like as a kid.
It's when he goes to the doctor when he gets his cast off. He slaps the doctor right in the face and breaks his nose. It's incredible.
Oh no! When the money blew out, I also got stink bugs flown at me. Come here, buddy.
Get rid of it.
Do you guys see this?
They're
everywhere.
Got it.
The camera shots right now are
that's
extremely
not even-
chaotic.
Yes, they are. All right.
Sorry, stink bug. You gotta go.
There's a lot that they could do here. It's also funny too because for the idea that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, there is just also a sad truism for them that stories about guys with guns are just inherently easier to tell and more interesting.
I mean, yeah.
To a larger percent of the audience.
She's talking about the quadrant, which I wasn't aware of before. Male, female, over 35, and under 35. You can't be catering to the non-binary they, thems, and the Twitter gays when we're talking about half the population. Make a show about a quote white guy with a gun if you're trying to appeal to men over 35. Simple.
And back in the day,
it's called the safe hit for a reason.
Back in the day, you didn't market to small demographics. You marketed to men 18 to 49.
Yeah. Why are they so desperate for social media validation when like the focus should be profits?
Yeah.
And you're also like they're lamenting the fact that this is obviously Amazon is such a huge corporation that getting into entertainment is just a side hustle for them. They have endless resources essentially to do whatever they want in the production realm, and they're wasting tons of money on virtue signaling BS, and they have the resources if they wanted to make high quality stuff that actually requires like thought and effort.
Do you think we'll ever return to a place of normalcy and people will realize that it doesn't sell, like with the woke virtue signal stuff?
I mean, it's not even just the woke virtue signaling stuff that doesn't work. It's
There's
also just like
the peripheral wasn't all that good, and that was not woke at all.
Yeah.
It just wasn't that good.
It's just everything just is one. It's unanimously just garbage. I don't know if we're going to recover to answer your question.
I think that there is maybe not quite as much good stuff being made as there used to be, but there is certainly more stuff in general being made. So the disparity between how much is good and how much is bad is much larger.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when you
Which
go
means
out,
there should be a higher barrier to entry, though, right?
When you go out, when you look at the numbers, like there's probably just as many good movies coming out a year as came out in years past, but there's just way more stuff, period. So you're like, you're overwhelmed by the amount of things that aren't good, not by the things that are good.
You have to like shuffle through more crap to find some good stuff.
Yeah.
Let me try to be smart with the math right now, though.
The math's not mathing.
The math's not mathing. So you're saying like you think the same amount of good movies are being made now, but it's just getting lost in the shuffle with all of the other
people
crap.
like John Wick. People like Dungeons and Dragons.
Why is it requiring us so many attempts now? That's what I'm asking. It's like, why is it that in the 80s or the 90s
it's not taking
we were
more
so
attempts.
much like the rate of success per like attempts, per year or whatever was so much higher? It's just, I think we were just less mentally ill.
Talent is still just as scarce as it used to be, but now the industry's full of, yes, the talented people are still there, but they let more people in, and those people, the sad fact of the matter is, just aren't as talented as those other writers and directors. James Cameron is still going to make his movie, and people are still going to go see it. Steven Spielberg are going to make his movies, and no one's going to go see it, even if the movie's good.
They're not bringing in that many new actors or actresses either, which is going to be a problem. Like all these people in who are grandfathered in, they're going to get. They're going to die eventually, or they're going to retire eventually. This can't go on forever. Yeah.
That'll. I mean, they bring new actors in all the time. I didn't even bring up the other one. After all my laughing about Harry Potter, I got immediate karmic pushback where I got slapped in the face by they're going to make a prequel to the movie Heat. Heat is my favorite movie of all time. It doesn't need a prequel.
I thought you said Sicario was your favorite movie of all time.
No. Heat. I mean, it's that scene, the border crossing scene. There is probably my favorite sequence of all time, at least tension wise. But it doesn't need a prequel. They don't need to make a movie with Adam Driver as young Neil McCauley. Though somebody did on my Twitter said they should call it Preheat.
That's pretty good.
But it doesn't need a prequel.
Yikes.
Like, there's no reason to make it. Even if Michael Mann is directing it, just like he directed the first one, there's no reason to do that. But you just can't. They can't
Call
say
it
no.
room temperature.
That's good. I like it.
You're also like a room temperature water stan. You said now.
I'm slowly becoming
disgusting.
I used to be a cold water only person, but realized that you can't chug. I don't like chugging cold water unless it's after skating. So room temperature is the only one that I can slam the bottle.
I'm a room temperature water person, except if it's seltzer water, then I like it chilled.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was only drinking. I had a headache, so I was like slamming bottles of water.
Yeah, it like
to get rid of
hurts
the
your
headache.
insides to
Yeah.
drink cold water.
Yeah.
Did
Maybe
a
I'm
horse?
just sensitive.
Did the horse on the set of Rings of Power die because Morphy Clark rode that horse, or
Probably. No. It died in the pre-production of season 2, so she probably wasn't even on set yet.
cardiac failure?
And
R.I.P.
there was a fire on the set. So I really do think now that Jeff
it a big
Bezos
fire?
is no longer in charge, he's not the CEO anymore, right? Like he's like majority shareholder, but he's not the CEO of Amazon anymore.
Wait, who?
Jeff Bezos, is he still in charge over there at Amazon?
I don't know.
Or they put a new guy in charge over there. The ghost of Jeff Bezos' previous job has shined down on them. Or this could be the type of thing where they're like, look, they're trying to get signs from the heavens. It's kind of like Waterworld. Waterworld is the most like cursed movie set of all time. If you ever want to go up, there's whole documentaries that have been made about all of the problems making the movie Waterworld with Kevin Costner. I highly recommend going and watching them. Kind of in the same way that Jim Caviezel got like struck twice by lightning playing Christ in playing Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
I can't remember all the details or if I remember it correctly, but was it The Crow?
Yeah, well,
Where
he actually,
There was a death on set?
Yeah, Brandon Lee died
Yeah.
on the set of that movie. That was very sad
It
as
just
well.
made me think
But that was
of
also
that
like a
one.
very chaotic production
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, Amazon, it's they're taking the L on this. I am interested, however, to watch Citadel, which is coming out soon. It comes out this month.
That's $300 million.
That's insane.
Like, there's no reason. And also, okay, here's why, though. They
That
said
sounds
they're
like money
making
laundering.
3 versions of it at the same time for, 3 seasons each. They signed on all of this all at once. One for Italy, one for India, and one for, like, English-speaking countries.
Okay.
And this was all, like, signed at the very beginning. That they're making all 3 of these shows at once.
Different
They're
actors?
connected, but not the same. It's going to be different. From what I can tell, different actors, different everything.
No
Whatever
Priyanka.
But it's
happened
all
to
Citadel.
subtitles?
Yeah, whatever happened to people reading subtitles? I don't know.
Actually, that's an interesting discussion. First of all, no Priyanka Chopra, no peace. for
She's
me.
she's in the English speaking version as well.
I know she should be in all of them.
I don't know if she's
going
gonna be in the Indian version, but she's apparently. This is funny. She like talked about getting pay parity for the first time on Citadel because of all of the reshoots that they've done for this for the show, based on the Russo brothers coming in and just scrapping huge amounts of what they've already produced and filmed. And this is a show that they're making 3 times over. They don't know if it's going to be successful, and they already have 3 seasons slated to happen.
But I kind of like the fact that it's like they're like, not only will we waste $450 million on Rings of Power and annoy you with advertising so over the top that your Amazon packages have Rings of Power tape, we will also waste $300 million on something you've never heard of, unless you literally have to host a pop culture show to know that this is even a thing. But we'll still waste $300 million on it. That's kind of a vibe to me. Go ahead and, you know what it was? End of the year, they had to get the money off the books.
So
They're
that
like, just
Priyanka
spend it.
Chopra can break the glass ceiling.
Well, you know what? With looks like that, she should. I become very pro-feminist when they're smoking hot. No, I'm half kidding. She's very annoying on Twitter.
Only half kidding.
She's very annoying. She's absolutely one of the most over the top woman power people, but she's just really hot when she does it. So if I'm gonna be yelled at about being
Joe
a guy,
Jonas is just like, yeah, babe.
Yeah,
it
babe.
Sucks.
Like if I'm gonna be yelled
they
at,
don't pay you enough.
if I'm going to be insulted for being a man and yelled at, I'd rather it be by an extremely attractive woman than an ugly
Wouldn't have
woman.
seen her
That's
as
fair.
the wife of the pastor's son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't have seen that.
Good for
coming.
him.
I guess so. Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
go to Super Chats.
let's do it.
Fear Me It's Bree said, frankly, my dear, I don't give a redacted. Always been one of my favorite memes to respond to dumb tweets. Always will be. Mark Reyes said, I heard that Ron was done dirty in the movies.
Financially, maybe, or if you're referring to the books, yeah. There's definitely on more than one occasion where big accomplishments that Ron achieves in the books get given to Hermione in the movie. Specifically in Prisoner of Azkaban, or I'm not sorry, not Prisoner of Azkaban, of the fifth one. So yeah, where Ron basically stands up and protects and like stands up for Harry while they're in the. It's hard to explain, but yeah, he gets screwed by Hermione in the movies.
But it's not uncommon for books to be changed for a movie.
Yeah, but this is one where he's in the room there. They could have easily had him do it, but they had Hermione do it because she
has to be right about
she's
everything.
a girl. Yeah.
Yeah. She really pissed me off in the first movie.
Yeah. Or it was in Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah. Bobcat said, if anything needs a reboot or remaster, it would be the Army Men games so they can run on modern systems without fighting with emulators.
Right. Also, somebody in the chat says, simp, Brett, simp. Yes, I am a Priyanka Chopra simp, in a way.
Are you proud of that?
I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
Look, I'm not saying I'm proud of it.
At least he's honest.
Yes. She's gorgeous. What are you talking about? It is what it is.
Old Warrior 34 said Radcliffe will seethe until the day he dies, that he'll forever be known mostly for being a part of J.K. Rowling's legacy.
Yeah, that's actually got to be hard to cope
entirely being known for that. Not just mostly. Like,
nobody remembers
what
Guns
what
Akimbo.
else did he do?
Guns Akimbo, and that's it. And
I mean, he definitely could have been doing more by now.
Yeah.
But he has the option to rest on his laurels and work for NGOs.
Yep.
Amenthi said Disney is going to the China route, plainly obvious, cheap imitations of the real thing, except their crap is the name brand. No one wants a Moana remake.
We never got
It's
to
true.
see. We never got to see the Chinese version of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
I really wanted to watch that with the bad CGI. That would have been really funny.
Goofer Trooper said Evil Dead 2 is the best B movie ever. Let's go.
Yeah. Also in the chat, they're saying I should be simping for Lauren Boebert instead. Like, yeah, I don't.
As if you're
my
not.
simping does not fall on
not mutually
ideological
exclusive.
or political lines. There are
Trust-
plenty of insane liberal women that I simp for. I'm sure.
Trust me, we hear Brett simping for Lauren Boebert all the time around here.
It's constant.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're all sick of it.
Yeah.
She's beautiful,
Sick of hearing
though.
about it.
And
No.
she's based.
Have you ever seen this amazing TikTok where this guy's like, my girlfriend hates Andrew Tate, so he like plasters her room with nothing but pictures of Andrew Tate. It's the same picture, and he does it like it's like an 8x10, and he fills up all the walls in her room and puts Andrew Tate bed sheets on her bed, and then Andrew
That's
Tate,
his sister?
and no, his girlfriend.
Sounds like
Oh.
a
and his
healthy
Andrew
relationship.
and an Andrew Tate rug on the floor.
Okay. If this were his sister, that would be a funny prank. Because it's his girlfriend, it just makes him seem like a cuckold.
Yeah.
So
It's a little weird.
Yeah, that's strange. Gordon Shumway said these writers in Hollywood need to watch the South Park episode where they tried to cater to hippies and concluded that hippies have no money. Stop catering to woke audiences, you will make no money. Yeah, stop catering to the NB baristas who
It's not
don't have
even-
the conspicuous consumption income that you need them to have.
And it's not even just that they're not even necessarily poor. It's just that the amount of them is so small. You'd rather have
Well, it's both.
You'd
but,
rather have
yeah.
5 million people with a little bit of money than two people with a lot of
Yeah.
money, because then it's dispersed and you don't have to worry so much that one author makes one tweet you don't like and then suddenly the lady with all the money is gone.
That happens,
yeah.
like aside from media too, like a bunch of like designer handbag companies cater to woke audiences. It's like, who do you think is buying
Right.
Coach bags? Like old ladies. Not
Definitely,
entirely.
Is that who
but-
buys Coach bags? Old ladies? I don't know.
I mean,
Well, it's like
changed over time,
affluent
but-
women.
yeah. Affluent women
Awfuls.
buy the designer brands, so why are you using like
Yeah, but
drag queens in
but
the advertising?
Why
no,
are you
but
pandering to,
Awfuls,
like millennial wokes.
millennial women, like Awfuls, make up a large portion of that, and they do support that stuff.
Well,
But not all
maybe
of
I'm
it.
just out of touch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
women overwhelmingly vote on party lines.
Unfortunately.
So, you know.
I saw this tweet that like broke it down like almost too simply, where the classes are at the lowest rung, you have to work and you don't have like conspicuous consumption. The next rung is you have to work and you can do conspicuous consumption, and then like above that you can choose to either work or not work and you do conspicuous consumption, and like most people are in the middle, but they're catering to both the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Gordon Shumway said, here's a weird take. Spend more money and hire better writers. You'd be amazed how much more successful your movie or show will be. The better writers don't even cost more than the bad writers.
No, there's
That's
just
the
less
thing.
of them, and they're already
They're
working.
just, yeah, they're just less of them.
They're already working. So let's hold off on the rest, and we'll come back to it. Before we continue, guys, could you hit the like button? Could you subscribe to this channel? It would help us very much. Thank you. I gotta do that more. I was looking at the amount of likes, and I was like, we need people to like this video. Guys, we're moving on. So if you remember, not that long ago, we talked about a woman named Sarah Beth who got shamed by Katy Perry for daring to have 3 children by the age of 25 in 2023 America. That's a bad thing.
Was this like Katy Perry's attempt to repair her image in the eyes of liberals after she, she did her thing where she moved to Kentucky. Her exodus from Hollywood was reported on. She has this kid with her husband. She votes for Rick Caruso.
That
People
upset
think
them.
of her as this like, she goes trad, she starts voting Republican, and she chooses to essentially put down a young mom to repair her image in the opposite direction. Is that what it is? But otherwise, it's just Katy Perry being a massive hypocrite.
Yeah, she's just being a dick.
It's not
Kind
just
of.
being a dick, it's just you're literally doing the same thing that you're criticizing her for doing. You pointed out before we started the show that she did it in the, quote, right way, where, Hollywood thinks you have to make your money, have this huge career, then you're free to start a family.
With
if
whatever
you
eggs
want.
you have left.
With whatever dried up eggs you have left while you're like 38 years old. Sorry to say, it's possible to reproduce at that age, but like, they need to stop lying to people that it's easy. It's not. And then they do IVF, and that's the acceptable way
But they can
to have
afford
children
they
now.
can afford the IVF. The average person
and then they
can't
also
afford
have to
the IVF.
simultaneously apologize for reproducing because it's so bad for the environment. You cannot have more than 2 kids. That's absolutely off the table. And you have to qualify it every time that you do talk about being a mom with, not everyone has to do this. Yeah. You don't have to feel like you have to do this. When in reality, like, moms out there, like ordinary people who have children, are probably just like desperate to get some validation that what they're doing is worthwhile in some way.
They don't need
all
to.
the rest of the time, Hollywood is telling them that they're worthless.
The kids are hopefully all the validation that they need. The love for the kids.
But people do need validation that they're not doing something wrong if they're constantly being shit on,
But at the same time, I still go down rabbit holes of comment sections in TikToks and Instagram posts and reels about people saying like about how they get shamed for not having kids by their family, or they hate how like they come home for the holidays and their mom's like, why don't you have
how
any?
dare your parents want to have progeny? Like, how dare they want their genetic line to continue?
I will admit that when my brother had kids, I felt a large weight off my shoulders because my mom finally while she was still alive, got to have grandkids. That was, but it's not like I was ever like, it's not, they're not pressuring me the same way they pressure women.
I think there's a normal amount of pressure, and if you don't feel it, then maybe like there's something wrong with you. Like if you don't feel some like urge to reproduce the human race, so maybe you're the problem. But also, like, if someone has already made their decisions, this woman is 25, she has 3 kids, she's married,
she's chosen to leave.
She's made her decision that this is the path of life that she wants.
Yep.
Why are you going to go back on it now and like tell her that she made the wrong decision? It's too late, even if she did decide you were right. Even if she decided that she should have been a singer all along and pursued her career, what is she supposed to do about it now?
The hilarious like movie is like she gives the kids up for adoption, and it becomes like a weird thing where then she like finds her way back to the kids.
Yeah, like what's the solution,
like,
Katy Perry?
Is that what she thinks is going to happen? She's going to be like, I'll leave them with their dad. No, actually, I guess the movie version would be she leaves and leaves the kids with their dad. And like just abandons them because Katy Perry said to her, "You need to go have a career. Get your bag, queen."
Like unless you're in your late 30s or early 40s, don't even think about having children. And if you do, have less than 2 or 3, and also send them off to be raised by nannies while you're out girl bossing and judging singing shows. Like,
I think a lot of people who do try to wait that long end up regretting not doing it soon. But there was also this like message push that you can have kids and be a mom and be a wife and still follow your dreams and your career. But there's nothing wrong with just being a mom.
They haven't pushed that message for. There's a couple of things that I take major issue with in society, at least from when I was a kid upwards, right? One was that my whole generation was taught that women could be whatever they wanted. If they want to be a CEO, they can be a CEO. And I always thought, young Brett said, yeah, that's great. We should be pushing that message because women aren't required to stay home at the house. They never told the men of that generation what that's supposed to do to them. They never taught the men how to handle a world where women are now receiving a fundamentally different message about what they're supposed to do with their lives than the women before your generation were told, and what the men before your generation had to deal with. So you were left unarmed, and so then you get a generation of men where it's like, he's threatened by my strong career, because the guy doesn't know what to make of all of this. And I also take issue with the fact that they push that message on women without giving them any type of disclaimer that, no, you really can't always get what you want, or you really can't always have what you want. It's not really like we've pushed a utopian idea onto women, and I feel like society has protected them from that truth by pretending like that's true when men are more forcibly brought to the brutal reality of things at an earlier age.
Well, it's bizarre that Katy Perry, in what she said to this contestant, is denying the "you can have it all" lie.
Yeah.
She doesn't know she's doing it. She said if it's not your dream to be a singer, to pursue this, then you might need to leave because there are a lot of dreams behind you. She's talking about like other people competing. So, if it's just one of your dreams, that's simply not good enough. If singing is just one thing that you want to do in life, but you also want to be a mother, that's not good enough. You can't have it all. You can only choose one. So she's inherently here like admitting that this "you can have it all" thing was a myth all along. And
she left the show because of this. She's like, look, I'm gonna move on, and I'm gonna just take care of my kids.
Yeah. She just announced that she was quitting after like what? She was at the second round.
Yeah.
And she just said, well, okay, it was weird because Katy Perry tried to convince her to stay.
Yeah.
And that's even more
abandon
bizarre.
Your kids.
It's like once again, she's made her choice both to have kids and now to leave the competition, and you're still arguing with her about whether it's the right one. Like, it has nothing to do with you. It just feels like you're living vicariously through this woman who is younger than you, has more opportunity and time than you.
Well, also, when there is more drama on those shows, it sells. People watch it.
Absolutely.
But I think it's admirable for her to make the decision to be with her kids, because what's the alternative? Like, let daycare raise your kids?
Yeah.
Also, I love this lady. She's just so wholesome looking.
She is, and she's such a nice person. And while she's being put down by Katy Perry, is still like laughing and smiling because it's like, that's what do you do socially in that situation when you're being like openly bullied by a celebrity that holds your future in their hands.
Like, look at this lady.
I like her glasses.
She's just a nice redheaded lady with glasses.
Maybe that's the other thing here is we're looking at more redhead.
Ginger
This is self-imposed ginger erasure that's going on right now by removing herself from Hollywood.
Well, also what's weird about it is that she was scouted to be on American Idol. She didn't enter herself.
Yeah.
They asked her to be there. She showed up, and then they're like they imagine inviting someone.
Don't want it?
Imagine inviting someone to your house for a dinner party, and you're like, "Is it your dream to be here?" Because if it's not, then you might need to leave. Like, you're the one that invited them.
Do you
to
love
be there.
appetizers? Because if you don't love appetizers, there's a whole list of people outside this house who love appetizers.
If you don't think that my food smells good, then maybe you should just get out. Like, you're the one that invited this person. So even more so, like, she wasn't pursuing this. They found her.
Somebody in the chat says they're not sure that that's a natural redhead. I don't know about that.
We need to find out directly from her.
We need to have her on the show.
I wonder what percentage of the contestants on that show are scouted versus audition.
Early on, it was probably all audition. Now they got to go looking for him.
Yeah,
like they're running out of people to have on these shows.
They're just sitting through the auditions like, this sucks.
Yeah. The voice was better anyways.
This is the sick thing that Katy Perry said. She said, "I know life is scary. I also know it's easier to walk away than to be rejected. But self-love is just as big as motherly love. Don't leave the competition."
Oh.
You've opened a door you thought you'd never open and got a yes, and you may get another yes in the future. Do not give up. She's framing this like the contestant,
like she doesn't like herself.
Is insecure. When all she said is, I think, since my kids are so young and I've been away from them to do this, it's time for me to go home because they need me. And then Katy Perry's like, oh, so you hate yourself and you're afraid of rejection? Is that it? Like, it's so manipulative.
No, being selfless when it comes to raising children doesn't mean that you don't
love yourself.
Yeah.
Or you have some insecurity.
It just means you love your kids.
It means you care about your family.
Why would that be mutually exclusive?
That to Hollywood, that's a foreign concept.
Perhaps
to them, that's a foreign concept. Also, it's time to get rid of self-love, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to re-embrace,
or at least whatever this is masquerading as self-love.
It's narcissism.
Just narcissism.
Yeah, there's a difference between taking care of yourself and being healthy and like accepting yourself as you are and narcissism.
And they're not the same thing. Self-love is not the same thing as motherly love at all.
No, it's not. I mean, she said it's as big as self-love is as big as motherly love, but it's like, if your definition of self-love is being away from your children for long periods of time to pursue some nebulous idea of a pop career, well, what does that mean for your kids? It's not.
Well, I imagine if you're a mother who is missing her kids and feeling like they're missing out on you being there, that can't feel good for you either.
Yeah. And if you don't feel that, then
imagine you're like the kid's like, Mom, when are you coming home? She's like, sorry, honey, but I'm focusing on me right now.
I got dreams.
Her 3-year-old is just like, all the 3-year-old knows is that Mom's not there. Exactly. They don't know what's going on. So that makes it even worse. It would be one thing if her kids were like old enough to understand why she was gone, but they don't even know why she's gone. So it's just really sick that she would even
that can be very traumatic for young kids. Like, I remember when I was little and my mom, she was out of the picture when I was little. I didn't understand why. It was just devastating that she wasn't there.
Also, aren't there whole tropes of stories where you get mad at the dad for working too much? Like, isn't that a bad thing to these people? Where it's like, Daddy was never home to tuck me in at night, and Mommy had to raise me. Like, why are we just trying
nothing
to
men
make
do can be good enough.
People, why are they just trying to make women into like even whinier men? Okay, men whine too, except for when they have the flu. But all the rest of the time, it's just men go to work and work long hours to provide for their family. They want the woman to go to work for long hours to be a girl boss, not because she has a family to provide for, but because it's a form of self-love.
So she addressed Katy Perry's comments to her online. She said, "There was a joke that was made that's gotten some attention, and I've gotten people reaching out to me asking how I felt. At the start of my audition, before I sang, I mentioned I have 3 children and was a young mother, and Katy Perry made a joke that wasn't super kind. It was embarrassing to have that on TV and hurtful, and that's that. But I did want to take this opportunity to just say that I think women supporting and uplifting other women is so cool. And I think that mom shaming is lame, and I think it's hard enough to be a mom. It's hard enough to be a woman."
I'm fine with the second comment. The first comment was dorky, and I hate the women supporting women lie.
Do you guys know
the thing is, Katy Perry thinks that she's doing the women supporting women thing, but
Yeah.
in reality, she's just putting her down.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what the first comment
Well,
that
no,
she's saying was embarrassing? Is this the comment?
No, I'm saying the part I disagree with there is I dislike the Hollywood idea, or the idea of like women supporting women, which is one of the most over the top lies most of the time.
We'll get into
Yeah.
that in the next topic, actually.
But in this, basically, Katy Perry said like the original comment was basically like you've spent enough time on your back because she's got 3 kids, which is just crude and.
Or no, she said like, "Honey, you've been laying on the table too much."
Yeah. Well,
meaning like giving birth too much or something.
I
Which is
also-
a bizarre form of slut shaming if you really think about it.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't like the notion that you should have like a limited amount of kids either. Like, if you want to have a big family, have a big family.
Katy Perry's like, I support China's one-child policy.
I mean, you might as well just come out and say it, right? Like, I think, shaming people for how many kids they have. If they're neglectful of their kids, then that's the problem. Not that they're having many kids.
Right.
You know, shaming people for having more than whatever amount of kids you think is too much is just a form of what they would call like slut shaming. It's literally like that. And what's the solution? What is she supposed to do? Go back in time?
Yes, apparently.
Like, she can't do anything about it now, even if she did regret having children. So
Yeah.
you're just being an a-hole.
Like, if you don't want to have kids, or you don't want to have many kids, live your life. But other people should be able to make those decisions for themselves, and why criticize them?
And what was this? She like told the contestant that she should make songs about same-sex relationships.
Yeah, this was an old story where a contestant had Christian parents, and she like mocked the Christian parents and said that they should sing a song called like "I Kissed a Boy," and I liked it.
Was the contestant even gay or
No,
what?
it was just about the fact that the contestant was from a religious family, and that would be against their Christian faith to sing a song like that.
Cool.
Yeah, because it's Katy Perry.
You're so edgy, Katy Perry.
She
used to be a Christian singer.
Yeah.
She used to be a Christian music.
Isn't that how she
artist.
started
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And then she kind of took a different path and blew up.
right.
He says, my parents like to name all of us from the Bible, said McFarland, who went on to note that he raised in a pretty strict religiously adherent home, adding that his mom still bristles when his songs include curse words. Nevertheless, he said he does not plan to use harsh language in his music. So she's like, well, you don't need to use curse words to include stuff about same-sex relationships. Take that, you religious bigot. That's what they're thinking, because it's Hollywood and they're full of losers.
Yeah, they are.
So, all right, we got some super chats there.
Hobbit said, "Room temperature water family unite."
Yeah, I never
family
thought I
now.
would. I will say,
Yeah.
however, that if it's post skating, I would rather have cold water.
I mean, on like a real hot day,
Yes.
there's exceptions, but sitting in a room temperature room, I can go for some room temperature water.
Yep.
Brett gets it.
Yep.
I'm counter signaling this. Claude Roth said, "In the books, Ron Weasley is the street smart kid. Hermione is book smart, but often hesitates under stress. They gave her a lot of Ron's cool moments."
Yeah,
That sucks.
the particular moment where he basically says like in the under the Whomping Willow, and says like, if you're gonna kill Harry, you're gonna have to kill all of us, and they like gave that moment to Hermione, depending on where you're from, they gave that moment to her in the because the whole idea is like he has like a broken ankle, and he like stands up with a broken ankle, and they ruined it and they gave it to her. Very annoying.
Now that I think about it, I don't remember Hermione being like shakeable at all.
Yeah,
in the
she's
movies.
a Mary Sue.
Yeah, she's literally a Mary Sue.
She was good from the very beginning. She was into. She could do magic right from the very beginning. She has to correct everyone, and it's like that.
The stink bug is trying to get a word in on the mic.
He's got stuff to say.
Wait, what?
There's a stink bug coming from my microphone. Come here, buddy.
What does he want to say?
Get the heck out of here.
right.
Sorry, I get distracted by these guys.
Not as much as Carter. Carter gets more distracted than anybody. He loves them.
Hobbit said Brett supports equal opportunity simping.
Yes, I will simp for because it's not. I'm not simping for her brain. I'm simping for her physical appearance. Therefore, it does not matter what her. It's kind of like Dane.
The original simping.
It's kind of like Dane when he mentions like he doesn't like when people talk about Brie Larson like she's ugly when she's not, because the idea is like, look, just because you don't like her doesn't mean that like she's not an attractive woman, which obviously makes perfect sense. Look, I can simp for Priyanka Chopra all day. She's gorgeous.
Isn't saying you're like simping for someone insulting to them though? Because you're.
Is it? I mean,
the acronym.
Is there a definition for that word?
It's suckers idolizing mediocre. Beep.
Oh, I didn't know
the
that
average
meant that.
person
I
probably
just
doesn't
hear it
know
in
that,
context.
Okay.
I
Or maybe it's a fake acronym. I don't know.
I just thought it meant like you really like somebody a lot. You don't know them, but you love the way they look, and you're like in love with them in a parasocial relationship.
Creative Juice says, how many super chats to eat a bug?
There's no amount.
None.
We will not eat the bugs. We will not live in the pod.
I will visit the pod for a certain amount. I will not.
I bet
will not eat the
we could
bugs.
find someone in the castle to eat a bug for a super chat, though. We look.
Who do you think it would be?
I don't know. Maybe Surge. He can be convinced into anything.
Surge might eat a bug.
Ryan?
I think we could get Bertman to eat a bug. Bertman, are you still in the chat? Will you eat a bug?
Yeah. We'll wait for word on that. But I bet someone would.
What
do
about
it.
Dane?
Male. No, Dane would
not.
never.
No. Maybe if it was wrapped up in a burrito.
I mean, if you tricked him. Sketch Therapy said, please explain to Mary who Gordon Shumway ALF
is. I mean, I didn't watch the original. If that's what he's talking about, I didn't watch Elf. My dad watched Elf, the show from the 80s.
Bertman said, the Burtoning will continue until morale improves.
They're like, I am not part of the cult. I'm staying out of the cult. I'm staying out of the cult, ladies and gentlemen.
Intimidating.
I'm currently in the cult, but
You're
I'm
working
having
your way
second
out.
thoughts.
Because of his take on hummus.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Who doesn't like hummus?
who doesn't like hummus? And even if you don't, like, why talk trash?
See, yeah, if you don't have anything nice to say about hummus, don't say it at all.
The problem, Bertman, is you haven't had any good hummus yet. I'll show you some really good hummus.
All right.
Okay. The next thing that we're about to talk about is a trend in cinema. It's a phenomenon called good for her. And it basically just means that murder is okay when women do it in movies or TV shows. Thoughts on that?
Okay, I actually have a lot of thoughts on this. The examples that they gave were mostly movies.
Well, they're all movies, but there are examples in shows too. Like someone brought up Swarm, which is on HBO Max, right? And it's about this girl who begins like serial killing people because she has a parasocial relationship with a pop star.
Hate it when that happens.
It's making fun of Beyonce stans, I'm pretty sure. The Swarm, the Beehive, got it. But they have examples here like The Witch, Us, Gone Girl, Midsummer. I actually have it all on Letterboxd. Carrie is an obvious one. Kill Bill, obviously.
Kill Bill, I feel like, is a female empowerment movie.
Well, does it like okay? So the idea here.
Well, that's the tension between it. Is it female empowerment or is it just like
no? She's
celebrating
she's a killer.
murder.
I don't think that should be framed as a good thing just because you're a woman. But it's cool to see like the main character be a woman. Like I really liked watching that growing up.
It's a lot of the times it kind of becomes synonymous with the idea of the ends justifying the means, meaning that in a lot of cases, like in the television realm, it's to do with cases where women have been assaulted and no justice is given to them. So they go off on either sprees or they get back at their attacker or people in their circle because no justice was given to them. Now when it's done properly, Hollywood. Have you ever watched one of like CinemaSins has a thing that they would point out any one time that they would do a CinemaSins score for a movie where it's like all bad guys are R-wordists? Right, it's the trope where it's like the bad guy suddenly starts
it's the one thing that you can't do as a sympathetic villain.
Yes, so the idea here is like, first of all, you always introduce that, and back in the day, Hollywood used to be very good at making sure that they make that character nice and evil before the character does something. That way, one of two things happens. What in these tropes, the bad guy who gets it deserved it. And then the character will start to devolve and start perpetrating the acts on people who may or may not be guilty of it, which then gives the audience the ability to both sympathize with the villain who did it to the people that deserved it, but also root for the people that catch them, assuming that they're not the main character in the story. Therefore, that person can get caught at the end, and you don't feel like they should have gotten away with it. It's a very delicate art-like type of story writing. I
thought of one. What about the girl with the dragon tattoo?
Yes,
it was done
right
well.
up there too. Yep.
And Kill Bill's not about like the R word, but it's about revenge.
Exactly.
She's supposed to have a justified response, but there are other examples here where she simply doesn't have a justification, and you're just leaning into the chaos.
Like Gone Girl.
Yeah, like
that
Gone
was
Girl.
Just a crazy wife.
Or Jennifer's Body is also on this list, where it's like, you're killing people. And she's like, no, I'm just killing boys. It's like on principle that she's female. Like, Brett, you're bringing up these examples that you have to, like, it's a delicate balance. You have to do it very expertly
they used to
when
be
it's
very
a man.
good at it.
But now we're seeing this trend where if it's a woman, you really don't need to do it that carefully or think about it that hard. Women are just, on Twitter at least, are idolizing female characters who just kill indiscriminately. Cocaine Bear is even on the list.
Yes.
Because
I think
she's an avenged mother.
A good representative of that, because she was like almost made into the heroine, even though she was kind of the bad guy.
Yep. There's a couple of really good Criminal Minds episodes that introduce this. One is called Jones, which is about a character who gets R-worded in the French Quarter and then goes on, basically loses her mind and starts abusing men that she meets in the quarter. She drugs them, does stuff to them, and then takes them out. And then there's another episode later called Pleasure is My Business with Brianna Brown, a Minnesota actress, I might add, who was raised by a Fortune 500 oil executive who basically, daddy wasn't around much. So because she's mad at her dad for not taking care of her, she ends up becoming a high-class escort just because her dad left her mom for an escort. Therefore, she ends up becoming a high-class escort to get back at her dad and starts killing off men who speak ill of their wives and children and treat them as burdens. So like ones who they leave their wife but don't give their wife or kids child support, they bury them in lawyers. She takes them out, but the men she sleeps with who want to get home and take care of their kids, sure, they're cheating on their wife, but at least they care about their kids. But
it's framed as justice.
But for those ones, she lets them live. But the ones who seem to care nothing, not an ounce for their kids or their wives, she will kill them. But then as the episode goes on, she starts to devolve, and it doesn't really matter as long as she can get away with it, which is why at the end of the episode, you don't have a problem with her getting caught because suddenly she's taking out people that might not have deserved it, but you also understand why she was doing what she was doing to the people beforehand. Also a perfect example about how Hollywood used to be able to criticize wealth and class without it being preachy. That episode is a fantastic example of that.
Another movie that came to mind, which I think is based on a true story, and I actually like this movie, Monster.
Yes.
It's where she
directed by Patty Jenkins.
She starts killing men who hire her for, can I say the word?
The
For spicy stuff.
spicy stuff. We'll go with that.
And she thinks that it's like justice and it's the right thing to do, and in the end I think she gets caught and in trouble for it, but she ends up hurting people who aren't guilty of anything too.
Yeah. Or the example that Tim likes to give about, it doesn't always have to be about that side of it, but in Captain Marvel, where somebody basically says, smile, toots, and that's like, so she beats the crap out of him and steals his motorcycle and his jacket.
It's just like a revenge power fantasy for women who watch that aren't powerful people.
Yeah, when women
in
love
their real lives,
women that love female superhero movies have a weird type of. For men, it's a proper power fantasy. For women, it's a revenge fantasy.
Yeah,
seems like it. Yeah, I don't think that the women who are empowered by like Brie Larson's Captain Marvel are powerful people.
No.
They just, they like the empowerment narratives because they're such mousy, submissive people in their real lives and would like to LARP as something else.
Speaking of Kill Bill, which I love, another good one is Death Proof.
Yeah?
That movie is awesome.
Another one that I brought up was Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's introduced where basically she comes out of a bar, and of course there's the guy. There's always the guy at the bar, right? He's like, "Hey, what's going on, toots?" And then they're always over the top and ridiculous. Yep.
He said, "Monster is based on the real life story of a serial killer, Eileen Wuornos."
Yep.
Yes, thank you, Clef.
Oh, but is it Dahmer?
She was
Monster
like
Dahmer.
really a sociopath, like truly, which is rare for women.
I think she'd probably experience some serious trauma too.
No,
but
yeah,
that doesn't be a serial killer.
But sometimes like these revenge stories, they don't really appeal because, like, I thought of this one on the Letterboxd list called "A Promising Young Woman," played by Carey Mulligan. She's like this unassuming looking girl who, like, in med school, her friend was gang R-worded. And she then just begins going to bars, looking like in skimpy outfits, looking willing, pretends to be drunk, goes home with guys who are completely unrelated to that crime. And she's also not the victim of that crime. She's doing this on behalf of her friend, who she is not even like friends with anymore. And she kills them. And it's like, it's not, I don't know, the good for her phenomenon is all about like doing away with the moral implications or the ambiguities and just unanimously celebrating violence by women.
It's interesting.
No matter the
reasoning.
Think
of John Wick. He is allowed, apart from the fact that it's just an action movie, it's not like his wife was killed by the bad guys. His wife dies of cancer. It's that they killed his dog. And to humans, the killing of a dog is almost just as bad to a lot of people.
I hope that's not the case for most people.
I bet you it is.
People think that they care about their pets more than humans, but when it comes down to it, you save a human life.
I was pretty mad they killed the dog.
In the movie, it's also because the dog was a gift.
So innocent.
The dog was a gift from his dead wife, so that like adds to it. But I'm saying, like, you excuse a lot of extremely like long distance headshots in that movie because, like, look, the guy's grieving.
Well, they also, as they ended John Wick 4, kind of set up what seemed to be like a spin-off for this girl. Well, you said her name is Akira.
Yeah, I think it's her name. It's
but
literally Akira.
I only know her as Rina Sawayama.
Yeah, the actress.
That, she has this revenge story on the horizon for her father.
Yep.
That seems like a far better justification than a pet.
Or even think about what they did with Black Widow, and they made a joke out of it in Marvel with the Red Room, where they control these women's minds and they have no bodily autonomy, and that's actually a tragic story that they end up kind of like playing, not for laughs, but it's downplayed the seriousness of that. In the show Dark Angel, she escapes a childhood. She's like a super soldier who's basically been abducted by this group, and then goes about getting revenge on that group because of what they did to her as a child. Right, so that's a little bit different. That's kind of going off into the realms of just traditional revenge.
But there are other like non-violent stories that are really popular too, like Fraudsters. Anna Sorokin had Inventing Anna, and then there's also like Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos in what was that one called? The Dropout.
Yeah.
So it's just like any like morally questionable behavior from women is now being like applauded with the good for her thing, because it's just on the principle of like sowing chaos. And I think like there is something to like viewing women as like the chaotic gender, like the ones that they're able to sow discord and that are like Dionysian to men's like Apollonian, the order.
Also for in the realm of serial killings and stuff like that, for men it's often inherently sexual. For women, it's mission based. So there needs, if oddly enough though, then because if it is a women on a mission based killing spree, it tends to go back to the sexual exploitation of them. Whereas for men, it's about the sexual exploitation of others.
I wanted to get into the cocaine bear part of this, just to hear your takes on it. Crimes: possession with intent to deal to her cubs, and being too good a mother.
Oh, the
Riz
bear.
factor: not since Robin Williams has there been someone so charismatically coked up. The titular cocaine bear belongs in the good for her cinematic universe because we never once begrudge her a kill. Is she the spirit of nature's vengeance? Maybe. Is she a killer punchline? Yes. And she has like, I mean, it's obviously like she's an irrational animal, but for some reason we still laugh when she kills all of these people for no reason, who are all fighting each other.
Yeah. But that's why it's why it benefits Hollywood so much these days to make characters just inherently unlikable. That way you can just get rid of them and nobody really cares.
Well, the only people you were supposed to root for were the children.
I mean, I don't even know if I buy that. I think you're kind of supposed to root for the two bad guys who are not Ray Liotta. Like,
really?
They're kind of less awful than Ray Liotta's character, and they're finally like, you know what? Let's just go. Like, maybe we don't need the rest of the coke. Let's just go.
Well, they lived, but the kids and the mom are really like who you're supposed to be rooting for, and the rest of the time, the gore is just funny.
And the bear.
Mm-hmm. Or we're just weirdos that found it funny.
Yeah, me and you were laughing at Blood and Honey. Nobody else is laughing.
Yeah, I guess that's our problem.
But even think about that. That's a trope in that used to be a trope in Hollywood where basically if you're in a horror movie and you're a woman or a guy, if you have sex, you're gonna die. Like that's what's going to happen to you, because that was Hollywood's moralism, saying like, don't have premarital sex as a teenager, or an axe man or a guy with a machete or a guy with a hook for a hand is going to come and kill you.
That teen pregnancy narratives were a big deal up until like even in the 2000s.
Yep.
Even with like Teen Mom on MTV and everything. And the next one I wanted to address is Gone Girl, because I've seen so many TikToks of girls like just doing outfit checks to the cool girl monologue and like just totally glorifying this character and essentially like saying that her behavior is defensible despite, you know, her literally making false accusations of R words.
Oh, a lot of those people don't care about that.
And the fact that Gone Girl happened and we saw how women reacted to that, and then we still went through with the Me Too thing.
A lot of people saw that stuff, false accusations, and basically just said like, yeah, but some guys are guilty of it. Therefore.
This is why I'm thinking like, is this bleeding into people's real life behaviors? Yeah. They're modeling their behaviors after all of these characters, because we know that false assault claims are a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not that they're the majority, but we know that they happen, and some things that came up in Me Too were based on false claims. And then there's also like this story. Remember when Cardi B said that she like drugged men and robbed them, and there were a lot of people being like, good for her. Like they literally were like, good for her. And like
that bothered me.
That should probably like raise some red flags, you know?
I was like, dude, okay, dude wanted to pay. Like, if this is a case where we're talking like the dude tried to rough her up, then whatever. But if the dude just tried to pay you for sex, I'm sorry. I don't like the idea that it's glorifying that she's robbing them and stealing from them.
In like, what type of moral landscape are we in right now where we're like quibbling about like the ethics of prostitution or whether prostitutes like drug their clients and rob them? Like, this is just when that case comes up, I just say like, you would have a problem with like a lot of prostitutes if you think they shouldn't rob their clients. You know, like, I'm sorry, this is just the reality of a precarious,
maybe not the most ethical line of work.
I don't on either side.
And like, back to Gone Girl for a second.
Yeah,
I liked that movie. I thought it was cool, but I did not leave the theater thinking that the main character was the good guy or a victim. I thought she's the bad guy.
It's supposed to be a psychological horror film, not you know, you go girl power narrative.
Yeah.
But this is what it is. It's like the misaimed fandom.
And some of these films, you could switch the role and it could be a male lead and it would still be a cool movie. Some of them rely entirely on it being a female character.
And I think guys do this too, like with the Joker or with Patrick Bateman or all of these different characters. Like, there are male villains who get idolized too, but I would say it's in a different way.
Well, yeah, nobody's excusing the Joker's behavior.
Well, no, I mean, I do see people post things about like that.
There's people that will explain this trope is to show you this is what happens when you push a person too far. This is what happens when mental health goes unchecked.
Mentally ill loner.
And a dude doesn't get any attention from society and everyone tells him he's a bad person. This is a natural outcome of something that could happen. But no one's saying that made his actions right. I think the difference here is what you're saying is that there are people saying that, like, because she's a woman, because the ends justify the means, it's okay if she does it.
I've seen the ends justify the means rhetoric about both male and female villains, like the Joker included.
And it can be fun in like this fictional universe to take the side of a villain, but
if we're
does it
memeing,
start to pour over into reality?
That's my question, especially with like the false claims stuff.
Yeah, that's scary.
Like, we know that has happened.
Yep.
I just hope that like people don't let the media influence their behavior to the point where people could die or like go to prison or just there are permanent consequences. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that like Me Too could have like had something to do with that influence?
I mean, I think that the culture was already spiraling out of control long before Me Too became a media sensation. I think the culture was already going that way. Whether we're talking about the girl at, was it Duke or whatever? I don't remember. I always get the college wrong. The one who accused
Duke lacrosse
situation.
Like
whether we're talking that situation, all that stuff was already happening. Title IX, everything to do with colleges and all this stuff. A lot of it ends up being ends justify the means, and I'm not sure. This is what I mean when I say that Hollywood used to be very good about carefully setting the scene to make the actions of a character justifiable, much in the same way that they make the mistake of, like, it's very hard, like, if you're showing a scene with a cop and a bad guy, to show like what a cop is actually supposed to do, meaning it's like you can't always risk it. Like, a lot of times the bad guy shoots first, right? Cop can't always risk the bad guy shooting first if you're in a standoff or something like that, right? So a lot of times they have to go out of their way to very carefully set a scene to justify it to an average audience. And I think that the average public, the public doesn't really worry about that anymore in a lot of contexts. I don't know if that's because of we're a less moral society, or if it's just that amplification of bad values is just inevitable, whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
All right. So, well, let's go to Superchats.
Oh, no, wasn't there a video you wanted to watch?
Yeah, there was like a fan cam that some girl on TikTok made of all of these villains. I thought I'd show, because people watch this stuff, I'm telling you, and they identify with it.
And a lot of young people. And children.
Oh, we're totally gonna get copyrighted on the music for this.
Oh, are we?
Can we mute it?
Yeah, I just did.
There we go.
Like, I swear people on TikTok watch these videos and they're like, she's literally me.
She's me. Yeah.
She's literally me. And then the men look at Patrick Bateman and they're like, I'm literally him.
I don't think so. I don't think that. I don't think the guys look at those characters and see that. I think the guys say, look at that interesting character. I don't think the guys sit there and think.
I know, firstly, okay, it's not just villains too. Like, people do this with characters they like all the time. I know this guy who basically acted like Maverick from Top Gun before the sequel came out. And like wore the bomber jacket, literally went became a pilot because of this movie and acted like him.
That's in your real life. You're going and doing something.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying, like, it's not out of the question that people model their lives after fictional characters.
I think it's
sometimes.
a particular type of person.
Yeah.
Who sees a character and thinks, I want to be them.
Yeah. With the increasing amount of female villains that are, like, girl bossified, you gotta worry. Like,
I would say more men
to avoid the crazies.
More men are seeing themselves as the Chad meme of the guy with the great chin, with the great jawline,
with the Sigma male.
Yeah, like I think you'd see more
playing.
men like imagining that than they are as because they can maybe because you can add your own image on top there and it's not tied to specific
You relate to
traits
a meme more than a
person
character,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, super chat time.
Yep. You're almost at a second crisis party.
Bobcat
We're getting there.
Said, Mary, you got the acronym right for simp, which is why Brett cannot simp for Lauren Boebert.
Because she's not.
That would imply that she, I won't continue.
That she's mediocre.
Yeah.
We all know that Mrs. Boebert is not mediocre. Mrs.
Or is she Mrs.?
No, she's married. I think.
Okay.
So.
Her husband is like.
That's the
funny
funny
you've been
part.
talking about my wife on your podcast.
That would be a hilarious conversation. We don't get her, we get her husband. And then somebody's just like, hey, Brett, play this clip from this episode. And yeah.
Sketch Therapy said, Alf has the saddest ending in all TV, vivisection.
Okay.
Okay. T-Bone said, just wanted to give Brett McDonald a shout out for helping me for over an hour change my membership to Elite. Big thanks to him. Sorry, Brett.
Awesome.
Yeah, can't have multiple Bretts at this company. There's only room for one Brett.
Anytime he gets
multiple.
tagged, I get tagged as well. Like it's like they tag both Bretts just to make sure they got the right one.
Noah Cloud said, you should watch the show Brain Dead from 2016.
Okay.
Brett
Never
helped
heard
me
of
out
it.
too because I tried to send a picture of a potato to the chat and I got a warning to not send explicit content.
Well, Seamus,
The AI thought that was
naked Seamus.
I don't know, but I was like, hey, just so you know, I didn't try to send anything bad. It was a potato.
Yeah.
You're like explaining. You're like over explaining. You're like, I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Like, why were you sending?
I didn't want to get pulled
potato?
into a meeting today
Never
or
mind.
something.
T-Bone said, I once saw a kid in my high school eat a live lanternfly for a $50 bill. It was so disgusting. Did he have a glowing tongue afterwards? I never heard the word lanternfly.
That the same
I always
thing
called
as
them
a,
lightning bugs or
lightning bug?
fireflies.
a firefly. And then that got ruined by that
Lanternfly.
horrible song by thing.
That's
It's
not a horrible
Owl,
song.
Owl City's awful.
I stan Owl City. Let's go.
Ugh.
Disco Jensen said, it's all a psyop. Hollywood has decades worth of good scripts to use. The feds want a narrative and those scripts are picked or written.
I believe that.
The federal government controls
a
the
lot of
scripts
people,
that Amazon decides to develop.
Well, why not? I mean, if they're already involved in these
what capacity?
If they're already involved in these companies when it comes to ESG financing, when it comes to subsidies, what's to say that they don't have somebody who at the very least works for the federal government or is a private contractor to have a say in stuff like this? Also, for that, it's like the CIA used to have an office in Hollywood, right? So the CIA was very much a part of functioning and informing narratives. Also, I think the big part of what he just said that's important to point out is that, yes, I don't think that Hollywood doesn't have good material. I think the good material it's perfectly reasonable to believe that there's lots of it out there. They just don't choose to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's read one more, and then I want to do the update on the hockey player.
Oh.
Because we followed through on that. I gotta tell you about the story.
Crofty
I might know this
said,
story,
"Thanks for
maybe.
this stuff while I end my workday."
Ah, yes.
You're welcome.
Well, we are happy to help you at the end of your workday, guys. A couple weeks ago, I covered this. We covered this ridiculous story about a hockey player from Mercyhurst University whose father is he's the general manager for the Philadelphia Flyers. His name's Carson Breery, and he basically pushed a wheelchair down a stairs drunk at a bar.
Not with a person in it.
Not with a person in it. No
okay.
person in the wheelchair.
Okay.
It
But
belonged.
he did break the wheelchair.
He did break the wheelchair.
That's still bad, not as bad as I just imagined in my mind.
He got first suspended from the hockey team for drunkenly pushing a wheelchair down his head. Down the stairs. Then he issued an apology. He has now been kicked off the hockey team because he drunkenly threw a wheelchair that belonged to someone down. Just replace the wheelchair, apologize to the person you did this to. He got banned from the bar where this happened as well. And apologize. You don't kick a dude off of a hockey
What
team.
if the
for something
wheelchair
like this.
flew into somebody?
Well, then we can talk about whether he could see the person at the bottom of the stairs and the consequences of your actions. This is an absolutely ridiculous
I think a lot of
story.
people just see the story and assume that there was somebody in the wheelchair.
Yeah, well,
That's the problem.
then
It's
there
a
will.
PR issue. That's why the team kicked him off.
Wheelchairs can
you know?
be customized and very expensive. I think he
This
should
didn't-
probably replace the wheelchair.
That's
and
what I said.
definitely
That's what he did, right?
A genuine
Yep.
apology. I don't know if he should be kicked off a team.
It's very
Well, it's just
stupid.
because of the PR. They're not kicking him off because they think he actually did something wrong. They just know that a bunch of people are going to see headlines like "guy pushes wheelchair," and people just assume that there's a person.
As soon as he said that, I was like, "What?"
He's also facing criminal charges because he was hit with one count of criminal mischief. My goodness, the world we're coming to right there. Like, you could get... I mean, I did plenty of stupid shit drunk at bars back when I was in my...
That's just what it is. He did something really stupid while he was
drunk at a bar. Like...
Did you push a wheelchair?
Not downstairs, no.
But you did push a wheelchair.
I probably...
on one level.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Did Justin Bieber get hit with one count of criminal mischief for pissing in a mop bucket at a bar when he was 20 something years old? Like, people do dumb stuff at bars. There was no person in the wheelchair. Yes, what he did was extremely rude and disrespectful. It's not kick a dude off of a hockey team disrespectful.
But you're talking about it like they think that he like killed someone. Like they know that what happened wasn't that big of a deal. They just know that it's horrible PR, so they have to kick him off. They have no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they have no choice, but they think they have no choice because it just sounds like he killed a disabled person.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
this
know?
one's good. In the chat, someone says, "I took a cow upstairs in a guy's house as a prank."
Oof.
How do you even get a
How do you
cow
do that?
upstairs?
How did you do that?
Yep.
How
Do
did
you have to like
manage that?
coax the cow?
Andrew in the chat says it's vandalism, Broski. Not cool. No, I'm not saying
not
that it's cool.
cool.
No one is saying that it's cool. We're saying that it's not like kick this dude off the
It's
hockey
just-
team and
Upon first glance, it sounds like he killed
Yeah.
a disabled person. So
yeah.
they know that people don't read articles, they just read headlines. They have to respond.
Yes. If he was Ezra Miller, he would just pay a fine and choke slam the woman anyway. So apparently that's the problem. He's not Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
He's not Ezra Miller. So I guess
Still, I know I've heard stories of people having their wheelchairs broken while they're traveling, and it's extremely devastating and can take a long time to replace.
and he
so
should absolutely pay for
He
the
should-
repairs.
he
And he should
replace
Thankfully,
it.
this woman was in a wheelchair because of an injury, not because she is
No,
like,
she was
permanently
okay.
disabled.
No, she
right?
is. No, she was like an amputee.
Either way,
was?
it's
yeah,
not good.
Yeah, no, it's not good. And like he
sucks.
should have had to pay for it. He should have apologized for it in person. It just seemed excessive to me. And the idea of him facing a criminal I guess vandalism. Like, could you charge him with vandalism? I guess, and then charge him by like making him pay for the wheelchair. I guess. But sending the dude off the hockey team just seemed excessive to me. That's just me. People, he's young. He's a kid. He's 20. Oh, he's
Yeah.
not a kid. He's in his early 20s. You make mistakes in
Young
your early
adult.
20s. Just seems stupid to me. All right, we got some super chats at the end there, Mary.
X said John Wick was taking out murderous criminals, though.
Yes, that is true, and that's what I mean when I point out in that series that they have to be very careful and make sure that you understand that the person that they're taking out is a bad guy. Hence the all bad guys are R words trope, and the idea of like the girl getting attacked in an alley. You know, there's a really funny episode of Castle where they have like a vigilante on the loose who ends up not even being a vigilante, but he's actually have you ever heard of real life superheroes? They're like people who dress up in superhero costumes and do neighborhood watch. That's like a thing. That's a real.
You're not talking about like the guy in Times Square you take a photo with.
Kind of like that, except for they're more like.
Are they armed?
No, they're not armed. And
what are they worth anyway?
And they've gotten beaten up for doing this. But the idea here in the story was like
beaten up for doing it. Just imagine getting beaten up by some thug because you're dressed like Spider-Man.
That seems like the worst thing to wear if you're trying to do neighborhood watch.
Well, what they're doing in this case, it's supposed to. Most of them do like homeless outreach, and it's supposed to be a way of like diffusing tense situations, right? So in this episode, a guy dresses up like a superhero and like cuts a dude in half. Yes.
Thank you.
That's a good one from Carter too. Funky butt loving. Butt loving. Look, it's yeah. There we go. Okay. That was a good one.
Wait, so he did what to a guy?
He cut a guy in half the long way, which they never explain how he managed to do with like a sword. It was ridiculous.
This actually happened?
No, it was an episode of a TV show.
Oh, okay. I was like...
But real life superheroes are a thing. That's the thing.
It just doesn't work.
Just doesn't work. Yeah.
X said it's setting the stage for the violence they want.
I
don't know what context that was in.
If he's following the same, he's talking with the women they want. Also, I mean, is that becoming more prevalent? Is female violence becoming more prevalent these days, do you think?
Female violence?
Like,
probably not.
Probably not?
Yeah. I don't know. No matter how many fight videos there are on my Twitter timeline, I'm not going to believe it.
Oh, by the way, I'm gonna end the poll. I asked people, does Harry Potter need a remake? And with 88% of 732 votes, they say no. Shocking. No remake. I wanted to have a third option that says yes, no, yes to piss off J.K. Rowling haters, but there wasn't enough text.
It pisses me off, and I'm not even a J.K. Rowling hater.
Yep.
Had enough Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Sleepy Cat says the crisis party just woke up my cat in a panic.
Aww.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to wake your cat up in a panic.
Wait, but why are you called Sleepy Cat?
And also, does that make
you have a sleepy cat? Like, is that the joke?
It's a bit on the nose.
X said, so is the Harry Potter remake gonna be like Teeth 2 Hermione's story?
I don't want them to I don't think they should remake it at all. No. But it's gonna be funny to watch it happen.
We'll review it.
In the articles that are going to come out about it are going to be joyous, and there's going to be plenty of content to be had.
Grofty said tap the like button. Yes.
Yes, Grofty. Grofty is correct. Would you guys please go tap the like button and subscribe to this channel?
If you don't want to tap the like button, just comment in the live chat your reason for why you haven't tapped the like button. Exactly. Itemized list of the reasons that you don't want to tap the like button, please.
Sleepy Cat says, I'm tired often and love cats. Hence the name.
Okay. David Tavares said this is better than Tim IRL.
Boom. Yes. Okay. Of course. Always.
Well, we're still rooting for our sister show.
We're not having a plus
our small sister show.
We don't get to have the Donald Trump is over party.
Yeah,
you don't get to pull in the views.
They're gonna go live tonight and they'll be like, so that just happened.
Yes. Elvin Bragg, am I right?
T-Bone said spotted lanternfly that was everywhere years ago.
That's not a term I've heard.
I've never heard that before.
It's not a firefly.
An ex said lanternflies are invasive. Kill them, not fireflies. Okay, what's the difference though? I had no idea that they were
evil fireflies.
Like they're just evil. Gordon Shumway said, I bought Seamus a shot last weekend for his birthday. I got to meet his brother. He's good people. I'm not joking. I see him at the pub from time to time. That's
I
funny.
really hope that Sheamus
Did he just get like crazy drunk on his birthday because he's Irish?
I want Sheamus to walk right past all the bars and go to whichever one says pub, just for the.
It just has to say
He
pub
has to
on
say
it.
pub on it. Yeah.
And he just has to like play into those Irish stereotypes.
When was Sheamus's birthday?
Must have been
a couple
last
weeks.
weekend.
It was a couple
yeah.
weeks ago.
Happy belated birthday. Sheamus.
I know Sheamus is watching this. Very much appreciates it.
Is he, you think?
Yeah.
We miss you.
High Voltage 75 said, Brett, I had to look up Vince McMahon's new look after you mentioned it yesterday. He looks like Walt Disney with that stash. LOL.
Dude, the mustache is incredible. It's like there's no way that stash right before WrestleMania is not a choice. It's incredible.
Grofty said,
Oh, also, by the way, from what the more research that I did, it does seem that what WWE going with Endeavor is considered a sale. So it is now now Endeavor Entertainment owns both WWE majority shareholdings in both WWE and UFC. So Endeavor is this growing group with Vince McMahon is still executive chairman of the board, and Dana White is still the president of UFC. I expect to see a lot more crossover between the two now that they're both under the same banner. It'll be very interesting, especially considering everyone thought that basically that Saudi Arabia was going to be the one to buy WWE, which they did not.
I'm looking at pictures of lantern flies right now, and they look scary.
Are they? Oh, here's the real question: if birds aren't real, are lantern flies government?
Real?
Are lantern flies government?
Now I'm curious. I need to know.
How are mirrors real if our eyes aren't real? Rhaegar Trump 2024 Targaryen said the song is War of 1812 Overture by Peter Tchaikovsky.
Yep. No
copyright strike, no cap. Also, Ant-Man 3 missed the opportunity to make 45 MODOK like in the comics.
Yeah, Ethan Van Sciver was talking about that.
he was mad about MODOK.
Also, I didn't know that there would be no copyright on the Tchaikovsky thing, but
I had a feeling it was not going to be a problem.
Since that is said, and then there's two super chats down. Carnell says, just sitting here waiting for Brett recommends. I will recommend V for Vendetta if you have never seen it, which does use that song in the blowing up of Parliament. And also I would like to recommend Sleepy Hollow, not just the Johnny Depp movie, but the television show Sleepy Hollow starring Nicole Bahari and Tom Meissen. Shockingly good, especially when you talk about like a guy who comes back from like the Revolutionary War, talking about how we've allowed taxes to become absolutely ridiculous.
What do they do in the show?
Basically,
I watched the movie only.
She's a cop, and he is risen from the grave as Ichabod Crane.
It's modern day.
Modern day. It's good. It's good. The first season is good. The first couple of seasons are good.
Right.
When Nicole Bahari was around, so I enjoyed that show a lot.
Francisco Cogno said, "Lantern flies are like fireflies, but with better technology."
See, they're probably government drones, just like birds.
Okay,
Just
they
like
look
birds.
very strange.
And there's one more there from Old Warrior 34.
That I remember one RL superhero that ended up getting busted for selling drugs after he unmasked.
That's sad.
How are you going to pose as a real life superhero and then be like actively making your neighborhood worse?
So he's a real life supervillain.
He's a fraud.
He's actually like a Scooby-Doo villain.
That just makes me
like
sad.
take his mask off and you're like,
perfect analogy.
wait, you're my drug dealer.
What a bum way to end the show. That makes me
sucks.
sad. All right. Gosh. Before we go, guys, one more time, could you hit the like button on this video? Could you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We love you guys so much for coming to join us on the show every day. Taylor, let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Taylor May Silverman or on Twitter at TM Silverman. Thank you guys for having me again. This was fun.
Yes. Also, there's one more from Sheamus there. Oh,
Yes.
not from Sheamus, from Gordon Shumway about Sheamus.
Okay, he said Sheamus did not get drunk. He and his brother had a Guinness each, and I drank a shot of Fighting 69 with him. He's actually very responsible. If he did anything after he left, I don't know. Yeah, he went bar hopping. instead. He didn't want you to see him.
He
like
was just
that.
getting started.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived.
There are some interesting names in the chat for the drug dealing superhero. One says we should call him the Dope Man.
Oh no.
And another says the Plug. Those
It's just
are
going to
all,
be the plug.
the Plug.
Super Plug.
Super Plug.
Super plug.
Those are all fantastic names. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both. This show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. I would also like to encourage people to, if they can, listen to the podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. I was looking into the numbers. Spotify seems to be where most of our audio listeners come from. Also, give the podcast a 5-star rating and not a single star lower than that on any of those platforms. 5 stars for all of them. If you'd like to follow Pop Culture Crisis on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. See you then, guys.
Bye.
See ya.